Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast. I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy, and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes. I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what it's meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited, like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me, how'd I turn pain into energy. Through all the struggle and hurt, remember my worth, and that's why I gotta be first.
it. I'm on the mission, snap any minute, casually winning. Stop tripping on me, stop dissing on me. Yeah, I got a dream, can't take it from me. My fire's burning, now I'm always learning. Tell me where to go, man, I'm on a journey. Yeah, I can't explain it, I get excited. Keep it 300, King Leonidas. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. I don't got the time, put me in, coach. I've been going hard, time to let it show. Everything raw, give it to me now. Let me have the spot, man, it's going down. Gotta get it here, I don't wanna wait. Take what I want, then I go train. Gotta get a win, I won't lose the game. This is my year, I ain't gonna break. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to...
It's the final week of the challenge here in NA, which means after today, 4 teams will claim their spots in the finals and continue on their journey to Masters.
And we've got some last-minute changes here to the leaderboards that will turn everything upside down. We'll learn about that as we get into today's show.
Seminole versus Rejects are going to face off once again. Former Tribe versus LG. This is a rivalry that has been in the making for a long time and will once again determine who is the #1 team heading into playoffs for North America.
It's going to be a great way to close out the season, so let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snapdragon Pro Series.
Till a player on top, know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion. We put in this time. Look, you won't stop.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Snapdragon Pro Series, but today is the last day of our challenge season here in NA for Call of Duty Mobile. It's going to be a great way to close the season out as we head towards our challenge finals. My name is Glitter Explosion and I am your host, and we are joined by the boys. We've got Infinity and Bobby back ready to finish out this season.
It's a really exciting day. The match that we've all been waiting for is today. I'm just going to talk about it right out of the gate here.
Right.
Rejects, Seminole. It's going to be a good day. I can't wait to get into it.
I mean, this was undoubtedly the best matchup that we had for the entirety of the challenge season. I would say not only in North America last season, but for the entire world. So there's no question in my mind, this is one that is not going to disappoint, and definitely a great way to finish out the season for North America.
And you know, we had to save the best for last, but if you guys have missed all of the action prior, you can just go onto our social media. We've got X, we've got Insta and Facebook. You can follow us on there, and then you'll get all updates for all things Snapdragon Pro Series related, or you can join our Discord, discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series, to join our community, talk all of things Call of Duty Mobile, and of course, continue getting those updates. And then you'll also get them for the upcoming challenge finals as well. But before we get into all of our action as far as the matches are concerned here today, it's the final time you'll get a little bit of a review on how the whole thing works. And Brody, this is your job today.
I knew you were going to do it to me. I knew this was going to happen, but I was ready for it. Yeah, so here's a little look at kind of how we've got to this point. We are right now in the challenge season, but to get to this point, we've had to go through the open area where everybody played by themselves. Then, of course, the open finals where we had some of the best teams in the world going head-to-head, looking to make their way towards the top 8 in their region. Once they got to that point, they got here, the challenge season, and by the end of today, we're going to have the final 4 teams that make it all the way towards the challenge finals. And then, by the end of that competition, we're going to have 2 teams that make it all the way to Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's going to be a good time.
Brazil. 2 teams from NA making their way to Brazil. That's what everyone's going to be pushing for. But before they get there, there's still some money on the line here, Bobby, and you know they're going to be pushing for it.
Yeah, we've got 2 teams, or I guess really 1 team tonight that's trying to elevate their spot in the standings and see if they can grab a little bit extra cash. Goofy Goovers have a couple of matchups and a couple of opportunities to grab some additional money. We'll see whether or not they're able to pull anything out right here, as obviously the majority of our places are cemented, but we are also going to have a battle for that top spot, that 2250 for first place.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting day for sure. Now, obviously, we've got some storylines we're going to be talking about throughout the day, but before we get into those, let's look back to what happened in week 3. Talk us through some of the highlights from the matches that we saw last time around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, going back towards week number 3, I think going into the week, we were really excited for it because it was a chance for Truly to come out. They had a chance to play both Mayhem and Rejects during that week of competitions. And for us, we went into it as a question of like, look, are Truly going to be able to be competitive versus the top 3 teams? Because it had become, by that point, quite clear that they were going to be the only ones out of the entire field of competition that could, if anybody, take them down. And the answer by the end of the week, unfortunately, was no. Beyond a couple of close maps, I think, where Truly were, you know, again, they were pretty competitive across the board. They still got 3-0'd both times around, and you're seeing that here in the first matchup versus Team Mayhem. And I think we already knew, as soon as they lost 3-0 to Team Mayhem, we kind of knew how their second matchup was going to go.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. And to be honest, given the strength of Rejects throughout the season, I was slightly encouraged by how closely they were able to play them, especially on that raid control. But once again, not able to take a map off of either of those top 3 teams. Obviously, moving into this matchup, Rejects pretty much ran through Disciples. They have had their fair share of struggles throughout the season, and Rejects have handled business against pretty much everybody that they've gone up against so far anyway. Obviously, we'll have a very different task up ahead as they do go up against Seminole today, but even going up against Team Mayhem, they got a 3-0 earlier in the season, so was no surprise there. And then obviously a matchup that we were talking about, Rejects versus Truly. A couple points in each of the maps where it looked like it could have been close, with the exception of the Search and Destroy, but unfortunately, Truly just not able to close out any of these.
Yeah, for sure. And again, going back to this series, as you said, May, I mean, it was a close in the hard point. It was, I think, towards the end where it was decided, and the raid controls we're going to see here in a second, I believe, did go all the way to a round number 5. This was horrible to watch, though, because the Rejects were just running through them. I think it was, well, it might have been a clean 7-0, to be honest. But yeah, we got to that round 5, and it was nasty. Truly did not do well last week.
All right, now we're going to take a look at the leaderboard here, and you're going to see a note that we're going to tell you about right now, obviously next to Disciples' name. Now, due to 2 players being disqualified due to rule violations, Disciples are no longer able to field a full and eligible roster, so they will no longer be able to play here in this season, which means it's opening up that door for Truly to be up there in the top 4, moving their way through to challenge finals here. So that's something that we're going to be keeping our eyes on today as well. Obviously, Mayhem have a match, and honestly, people are looking pretty settled now.
Yeah, for sure. Going towards this just real quick again, you might see the Goofy Goovers there with their matches today have a chance to get in the playoffs.
Sure.
They don't, because the fact that even if they go 4-3, truly go 4-3, for example, which they will do by the end of the day because I think they get an automatic win, truly have the head-to-head. So truly are in the playoffs no matter what. Goofy Goovers are just looking for prize money today.
Yep. We have all of our spots cemented, very similar to what things are looking like in EU, and obviously the big battle is for what that seeding is going to look like, and like you said, the money as well. So I think it is especially important for both Seminole and Rejects to come out and get the win, if at all possible today, mainly because no disrespect to Truly, but they have looked like, of the top 4 teams, probably the easier seed to go up against. And if you can get that #1 spot locked in, it's going to be that much easier of a path to a championship.
Yeah, those seeding spots also matter. Now, we also have our off-stream results from last week in case you guys missed how any of that played out. You can see what went on there, mostly kind of taking a look at the Goofy Goover side of things and seeing what they can maybe bring to the table this week, Bobby.
Yeah, 249 to 250 takeoff. That's it's definitely a close one. And it looks like overall the series was very, very competitive. But Goofy Goovers have shown some sizable improvement throughout the season, despite some of the struggles that they've had. So obviously they've got a matchup today, or actually a couple of matchups against 2 of our top 3 teams. Those are not going to be easy matchups, but I'm hoping for them to at least be able to make it competitive.
All right, and as we continue on our day, we'll also take a look at the schedule here so you guys know what order our matches today are going to be happening. We're starting things off with Mayhem versus Goofy Goovers, and if I'm not mistaken, we've got a little bit of a mix-up there. Don't worry, guys. We're actually saving Seminoles and Rejects. We're saving that for the end of the day, all right? So just flip those last 2 matches in your head, and you'll be good to go on how that schedule's going to work out. We had to save the best for last.
Yeah, we absolutely did. I think it wouldn't have been right any other way. To be fair, I think even if we didn't, we would have had another matchup to kind of finish off. It would have been nice. But with the current schedule, with the matches we have today, it makes sense to have Seminoles versus Rejects to give us one last little preview of who is going to be the best team going to playoffs. And there we go. It's fixed. Look, our production, they work wonders.
Gorgeous. Beautiful. Love it. All right, now everybody knows what to expect for the schedule. We've got one more thing that we're going to highlight, because obviously we keep saying we've got Seminole and Rejects going up against each other. That's like kind of our match of the week this week. Well, we've had matches of the week every week, what we kind of viewed as the highlight match every single time we had a week of competition, and we've got a little bit of a recap of all of those matches of the week, obviously starting all the way back in week 1, if we can even remember that far long ago, Bobby.
Yeah, this one does feel like it was an eternity ago. Team Mayhem versus Luminosity. The Hardpoint was not a pretty one at all. And I think that was definitely a bit of foreshadowing in the series. Obviously, Team Mayhem able to get things closer. The S&D competitive, but largely at the hands of some mistakes on the behalf of Luminosity. The control wasn't terrible, but definitely was not something I think you want to flex if you're a Team Mayhem player or fan, and definitely a couple big time mistakes that cost them what could have been a map that could have potentially made it a close series.
Yeah, for sure. Looking for those guys, that was a really close game between those guys. So yeah, Team Mayhem, I think, will be wanting to have a better go of things here versus Goofy Goovers today.
Also, for anyone who is confused on the lower third for that and the names that you saw in game, if you missed it last week, that's because LG is now Seminole, okay? They have the team name change. People will probably still mess it up just because they're used to what they're used to, but that's, if you're wondering what that was, that's why that happened, if you missed that last week. So just a little bit of an update on that as well. But that was week 1. We'll take a look back at our highlight match from week 2, Brody, as we keep things moving here.
Yeah, for sure. And this was a really close map to start off this series. I think we were expecting a really close series off the back of this first map. And by the way, this is a map that Team Mayhem should have won. You can see it right here. They held a 30-point advantage of basically the entirety of the game. I believe all the way down to what I want to say is the penultimate hard point back then, and then Rejects just kind of ran away with it towards the end of the game. Then we move into Tunisia Search and Destroy, and Team Mayhem have shown, or Rejects, excuse me, have shown exactly why they are so good at Search and Destroy this season. They dominated them there, and then we move to a Crossroads Control in which Team Mayhem, let's just say, they let a round go away that should not have gone the way of Rejects. That was a first round clutch up from Rejects. That was, I think it was like a 5 versus 12. They were down to their last,
10, I think.
Yeah, it was down to the last set of lives, and they stacked the point. It is a caster's dream when a team does that. It made us so happy.
Brody's been begging people for weeks to stack the point. So when he gets to see it, he's a very, very happy camper. Then moving on to week 3, obviously this would have been our most recent highlight match of the week. We get to take a look back at this one. This should be a little bit fresher in our minds here, Bobby, as we continue on moving through here.
Yeah, obviously we did have Team Mayhem 3-0. Maybe a little throwback right there, but the matchups that we did have last week, Team Mayhem versus Truly, and also Rejects versus Truly. It was, like we said, the ultimate testing point for Truly to see whether or not they'd be able to keep up. And to be honest, they played things well. I think with some changes, could potentially be in a place where they can go toe-to-toe up against your Mayhems and your Rejects, but obviously had a big share of struggles whenever it came to the search and destroy. They pretty much got wiped off the board, both in this one and I believe going up against Rejects and search and destroy as well. So some improvements to be found, but the control definitely looks solid.
And as we finish off this last week of recaps, now it's time for us to turn our focus towards the highlight match of this week. Obviously, we've mentioned a few times, Seminole versus Rejects, formerly LG versus Tribe. And this is a rivalry, like you guys mentioned, that we've seen quite a few times now, not only in this season that we've been looking forward to, but in Champs and in the season prior. So we're going to take a look back at the previous times that these teams have gotten an opportunity to face off against each other. First, going all the way back to season 3 here, Bobby. I mean, this was something that we got to watch this one together.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, this was probably the best match of any of the challenge season for any of the regions. Really, really competitive, and also super back and forth. What we didn't see in this is the fact that we came into this with, I believe, a 250 to like 28 win or something for Tribe. It looked like they were going to run away with it. They started off the series up 3-0, or start off the map up 3-0, and then Luminosity comes storming back. They take 7 rounds in a row in the search and destroy, and this was definitely not the result that we expected given how dominant the Hardpoint was, but definitely a little bit of foreshadowing as to the success that those teams would see in Stage 4 as well.
Yeah, and then that was just that season. I mentioned it when we were kind of leading into that. We also have those highlights from the World Championship as well, because they got to face off in the World Championship as well, Brody. So let's talk about what happened there.
Yeah, man, it feels like we were getting treated quite a bit at the World Champs. We had Exclusive versus Kings, we had Tribe versus Luminosity as well. I'm also hearing Proper's voice on my ear. This is a wonderful surprise for us. Yeah, this was a really close matchup. Now, I don't believe we actually got to see the first Hardpoint, but that was a 250 to 241 in favor of Tribe. So it felt like they were going to start the series in their favor. Then we got into a meltdown search and destroy where things were close to begin with. Luminosity started to run away with it towards the end of the game, and then as you saw there, the Crossroads strike again went the way of Luminosity. Should be said, by the way, as well, that these teams did face off a 3rd time recently, and that was Open Finals, and that was another 3-0 to LG. So 3 times these guys have faced off pre-roster change, 3 times LG have won.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens today. Obviously, you're going to have to wait a little bit until we get to that point because we're starting things off in a different manner. You saw the schedule before. Let's start talking about matchup number 1 of the day. Kicking things off here with Team Mayhem versus Goofy Goovers. Like we said, this was a rough schedule layout for Goofy Goovers, having to go through the whole season, and then go up against some of the best teams right at the end.
I don't know, to be honest, I don't even know if it's that bad, to be fair, because you are kind of working your way through the rosters in kind of progression, a natural progression point, and maybe Goofy Goovers could have done something earlier in the season to maybe make it to playoffs and then coming up against these big teams towards the end, having learned some things against the lower teams. Unfortunately, that's not the position that Goofy Goovers are in here. They've got a couple of tough matchups today. And you know what I've said about this roster in the past, and I've said about, I think, a lot of teams is, for me, you always ask the question of, do you want somebody to step up to the plate and be that player to go off? And honestly, when I look at a Goofy Goovers roster, I need everybody to be firing on all cylinders if they want a chance in this series.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They've definitely shown some improvement, and like, to their credit, they've essentially locked in the prize pool for that 5th place spot, just because of other teams either lack of showing up or showing up and not following the rules, whatever that would be. But them sticking around has definitely paid off for them and what they've been able to secure so far. And obviously, they've got an opportunity to continue to prove themselves. I think for a lot of these players, like, they are on the brink of being potential pickups for some of these top teams. So if you are on Goofy Goovers going up against a Tier 1 roster like Team Mayhem, this is a big opportunity to prove that you have improved throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. The time to show out if you can, because we saw just how crazy sometimes those roster swaps can be during the downtime between seasons and what goes on in Roster Mania. So we'll focus here on what we've got coming up around the corner, though. Haven't gotten a chance to take a look at Team Mayhem's roster. Obviously, players that we know really well here, Brody. So we're expecting them to do well in this match.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Team Mayhem is they've spent a lot of this season reconfiguring their roster, right? I mean, they've come up with, what, 3 or 4 different combinations before they finally got to one that they are content with. And it was a really weird one because we've been convinced for a lot of this season that Blur was their best player. And last week, I think they decided that, no, that's not the case at all. We're kind of bringing Blur out of the roster. I think it was, I want to say it was Kings that was not playing before that, bringing him in. And they seem to have figured it out versus Truly last week, which, to be fair, I feel really bad for Truly. That's the week when they actually figure out their roster. So, yeah, Mayhem, I think, are now at peak form after losing to Seminole and Rejects.
All right, well, we'll start getting our picks and bans up here on the screen as they come through. I believe that they are ready, and we'll see how things are going to be kicking off, starting on the Arsenal Hardpoint, Bobby.
Yeah, that's not great for Goofy Goobers. That is proven to be Mayhem's best map throughout the season. I would say for any map mode combo, Arsenal, I think, has been their most dominant, especially given the fact that they realistically should have beaten Rejects. So that kind of throws away any realistic hope that you have for that map, number one. We will say one thing, the Search and Destroy has been very up and down throughout the season for Team Mayhem. So when it's been good, it's been really good. But when it hasn't, like, there's been major holes that other teams have been able to capitalize on. So depending on what that S&D pool looks like, maybe an opportunity for Goofy Goobers to steal one away.
Yeah, that's not a good start of the series for them at all, that Arsenal Hardpoint. But moving into the Search and Destroy, is it any better? Honestly, I don't think this is terrible. I think, as you said, Mayhem are kind of 50-50 on Search and Destroy, so I think it's very difficult to tell what their best maps actually are on the whole. I'm very glad that they got rid of Slums at the very least. That Slums is gone. They are 1-3 on it, Goofy Goobers. If I saw Slums, I would have been upset. It's not to be. They're trying something else, so maybe they'll have a good go at things on Express.
Yeah, one thing I will say is if Blur's not here, that he's a player that is typically been a huge difference maker for Team Mayhem whenever it comes to the Express Search and Destroy in particular. So I will be interested to see what that roster looks like with these changes, but no question that the remaining players are capable. And if by some miracle it does go to a map 5, I would imagine they should be able to take care of business, given the fact that they were able to take Seminole all the way down to overtime in that same map.
For sure. Well, I'm intrigued about the control. I thought it would be Raid, and it is indeed Raid. I believe this is the 5th time that we've seen Goofy Goobers play Raid this season, so they are pretty well seasoned on it. I would be content with that, but I probably would have preferred to play Mayhem on Crossroads Strike, considering they're 0-2 in it this season. So I think that would be where I'd want to go. Raid isn't terrible, though, so maybe they can win map 3. If anything, again, Control has probably been the best mode for Goofy Goobers this season, so maybe that's their way into the series. A little bit of positivity, just a teensy bit.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with positivity.
I agree.
Listen. We've got now 4 weeks of competition under our belt, and it's not even a slight against the teams that aren't at the top. We've seen just how dominant the tippy top of the top is. It's almost like they're like a sponge. They've sucked up all of the best talent that they could have possibly gotten their hands on, and they have nailed down their teamwork. They clearly have their communication. Like, it's gotten to the point where even just taking maps off some of these teams at the top is an impressive feat, because that's literally how good they are.
Yeah, and look, of the top 3, Mayhem's the one that you're going to be taking those maps off. Because even though we've said that they've got their roster to a point now that they are happy with, they are still not 100%. I am not convinced by Mayhem until I see them beat Rejects, until I see them beat Seminole. Until that happens, they are still the 3rd best team here in North America in my mind. And so if you're going to take maps off any of the big 3, it's going to be Mayhem.
I would agree with that. I think it's still a tall task for the Goovers, but they've definitely shown some improvement. So I have high hopes for them at bare minimum to make it a competitive series. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen in the Arsenal, but hoping that they can head into the Search and Destroy and at least make some adjustments between rounds to make it a competitive map. And like you said, they've played a lot of Raid Control, so you would think with that amount of experience should have something up their sleeves to be able to keep things close there as well.
All right, well, we can take a look before we get, we're just waiting for our players to get themselves loaded into the lobby. And while we're doing that, we'll take a look at the updated leaderboards. Now you guys can see how it all lays out, because that means Goofy Goovers, like Brody had mentioned, because of everything that happened, they now technically are in that 5th place spot, which if you would think, oh, they've got 2 matches today, if they somehow won both, does it put them in there? And Brody explained, no, there's a tiebreaker, so it still goes the way of Truly. But like Bobby was saying, they've secured that 5th place spot as far as the prize pool goes, which is something we were keeping our eyes on as well. And it's just a good learning experience. The whole point of the Snapdragon Pro Series is the fact that we have the open portion of the competition to prove that anybody can make their way through and then compete against some of these teams that are seasoned veterans that have done multiple seasons of the competition so far. And eventually there's going to be someone, whether that's an individual or whether it's an entire team, that ends up standing out.
Definitely. I think this is the good thing, again, about this competition is if you're a player on Goofy Goovers, for example, and you kind of briefly mentioned this earlier on, and you have a standout performance today versus Mayhem, hey, people might pay attention to that, and in the future, when they're looking for a 5th for their roster, they might pick you up, and you might be in a much better position for your career moving forward. Hell, before we even got into the Snapdragon Pro Series, we did not know who Goofy Goovers were. Now we do, and we know what they are capable of. And that goes for a lot of teams here in Europe, or here in North America, excuse me, and it also goes over for a lot of teams in Europe as well. So, you know, these guys, they've already done a lot for themselves.
You got to also think about the fact that next time we're in Snapdragon Pro Series for North America, it's going to be looking forward to Champs, which is likely going to be a lot more competitive. There's going to be a lot more of those players that we didn't see in this season, the Snapdragon Pro Series, looking to pick up players. And this is once again an opportunity for some of these Goofy Goovers players to say, hey, I deserve to be on one of those top rosters. We put in the work, we've made the improvements, and see if they can put together a team that can take down one of these top 3.
Yeah. All right, chat, we're going to ask you as well your thoughts on how you think this match is going to play out. No, I'll wait until the end to ask you your thoughts on that. And when I ask you, chat, I also want to know your scoreline predictions for the last match of the day. So start thinking about that now. But for now, give me your thoughts. Who's going to be taking home match number 1? Will it be Mayhem or will it be Goofy Goovers? And if you have even specific scoreline predictions, throw those out there as well. Might even make the boys do them. No. We won't.
I could do this one.
I feel pretty comfortable.
I feel like we could do this one.
I want numbers, not a 3-0, 3-1. No, like what is going to be the score on Hardpoint?
I don't think you want us to predict.
You don't want this.
What's gonna? Okay, we'll ask chat to do it. You guys can keep it to yourself then. Well, like I said, we're still waiting just a little bit for our players to get themselves ready and in the lobby. While we're waiting for them, though, I will send you off to the other side of the studio. Before I do that, do you have any final thoughts?
Goofy Goovers, again, just say it again. If you guys want to get yourselves into the series, it has to be via the control. You are going to have a tough time on Arsenal Hardpoint. And I think if they do lose Arsenal Hardpoint, like we think we're going to, I do not want to see them be demoralized going into map mode 2.
Yeah, I think expectations, like going into an Arsenal Hardpoint specifically, can't be too terribly high. So like you said, go into the search and destroy with fresh minds and see what you can do.
Love it. All right, well then you guys can slowly meander on over to the other half of the studio as we prepare ourselves for match number 1.
All right. You sure you don't want to do Hardpoint predictions, scorelines?
Do you really want me to do that? Is that really what you want me to do right now?
I want to know what your Hardpoint prediction is so that I can give my prediction based off of it.
All right. Ballpark prediction here, and oh god, I'm going to sound like such a D word. So I think we're both on the agreement, at least, that Mayhem are going to win this one. I think it's by what scoreline, right? How respectable do we think this game is going to be? And no disrespect to Goofy Goovers, because I think, again, they are a very capable squad, certainly much more capable than I would be in this lobby, but I think maybe they get 100 points, maybe like a 250 to 100 points game here. I think the thing is, the problem is Arsenal Hardpoint is very fundamental based. It is very punishing if you do not rotate. And we've seen teams do that in the past. Mayhem are going to punish you. So maybe I'm being generous here. Maybe it's like 250 to 70.
Yeah, I was thinking 250 to 47. Yeah. That was the.
That's a very specific number.
That was kind of the number that came into my head. Maybe, you know. It's just, I have a gut feeling that that is going to be the exact number that we have right here. So
if it's 250 to 47, I want you to tell me the lottery numbers for the next week. I want you to give me like everything. I want to know exactly what's going to happen. When's the next like post-apocalyptic event going to occur. You can be like the next Mayan calendar. Something. I don't even know. But look, here's a little reminder. We haven't had this all season. This is wonderful. Guys, this is amazing. Because my memory is, I've got a memory for goldfish, so this is great. But yeah, the Arsenal hardpoint, I think, is going to be the biggest problem in this series. And it's a talking point that we've had a lot this year. Well, I guess we're in 2024. It's a new year. We can say that. This season, certainly, in that teams are not vetoing all that well, and it really can separate the best teams from the rest teams in a competition. If your vetoes are not great, which more often than not, they're not, and even amongst the best teams, sometimes they can fail, you are probably going to fall at the first hurdle, to be honest. And that's, I think, where a lot of these teams do need to improve on, is learning what the best maps are for these teams and vetoing off that. And to be frank, I think in a lot of situations, it's not that difficult to do, because you can just go back and look at the records like we do and track them. So yeah, I think that needs to be a step one, I think, for a lot of teams going into the presumed Season 5.
Yeah, I think part of the issue for some of the lower tier teams is the fact that they just don't have super deep map pools. So especially if they have one go-to map that they really don't want to play, it puts them in a tough position to counter. And then especially if you have a team like Mayhem that specialize on a map like Arsenal, that a lot of people are pretty comfortable vetoing for the majority of the season, it puts you in that much more of a difficult position, which is why you do need to learn those new maps, figure out whatever your game plan is going to be, and also just study some of the footage from these top teams, the way that they play it, because that can go a long way.
Yeah, I think as well, something that goes underappreciated here is having a coach on your team. I mean, we look towards the likes of Seminole, right, who have got an incredible coach on sides, and all the rest of the teams as well that have coaching staff. And it's like, they really can make a hell of a difference to a roster to really force you to look at the improvements you need to make. And I think that would be good for a lot of these teams maybe that haven't had the best Snapdragon Pro Series this time around, to maybe look at acquiring a coach, an analyst, someone to try and kind of force them to look at what they are doing wrong, because I think sometimes it's very difficult to be self-reflected when maybe things are not only not going your way, but not going your way in such a majorly negative fashion like they have been against some of these top teams.
Yeah, I think if you look at the rosters like Godlike, like Seminole, like Wolves, the teams that are really going all the way to the end of the competition whenever it comes to the world stage, that is one of the common threads that you see between all of them. You have somebody that is able to just spend all their time studying the game, studying the opponents, and seeing what the... Ooh, okay. We may have a 4v5.
Team Mayhem.
Or Team Mayhem.
You naughty guys.
So they're putting themselves... Or maybe we're still loading into the lobby, so that's very well...
Oh, never mind. Okay. I mean, to be fair, I genuinely thought for a second they were going to play the match.
And I think they could probably still win it too.
I'm glad you said that. And I didn't, because I didn't want to be the one to say it. Yeah, I was fully... I genuinely, if they started that map, that would have been the first line that came out of my mouth. So good job, Bobby. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I'm trying to find positives here in this first map pick. Again,
your H buff.
Your H buff. Let's go. Let's talk about it right now. Let's get it out there, Bobby. Come on.
Yeah. So obviously they are playing on the new balance patch, since they are currently playing the global version of the game as well. So the balance changes that we've seen that happened, I believe, last night will fully be in effect, which very much could change things right here. Obviously, DRH, one of those buffed guns, so anticipate that will be probably the most common weapon that we see for the entirety of the day-to-day. But EM2 and the Man-O-War also both very solid, and it looks like as far as starting lineup will be the same as last week. No blur to be found.
I'm confused at what the references are in their profile pictures. I'll be totally honest with you. I do not know what's going on. What I do know what's going on here is that Raf is opening things up with just the way that we kind of expect from him. He's already got the R9 in hand. We talked a little bit last week, I think it was, over in the European region about who the best R9 players in the world are. Raf is up there. And already off the start of this one, wants to use it to great effect here on P1. Things looking pretty good if you're a Team Mayhem fan to kick this one off. It is exactly what you want to expect. And I think as we hit like the 25-second mark here in this hardpoint, yes, you don't want to give all this time away to Team Mayhem, but you do need to really start thinking heavily about what a rotation towards P2 actually might look like.
Yeah, and especially with Raph locking down this back doorway, he can hear any audio cues. They actually are able to take him down, but nobody has been able to deal with Jesus on that window side, and until they do, they're not going to have any hope of not only making their way in toward P1, but finding a solid rotation toward P2. It looks like they will be able to make their way through the top side. Unfortunately for them, Jesus has already been able to earn full streaks, and that is not a good sign. Should be able to gain information, just like that top side control has been earned. And Team Mayhem once again in position to lock in some big time.
There is going to be some close spawns for Goofy Goobers, but you've got to imagine that Team Mayhem should be able to shut down them with these. Brainy and Zito will find a couple of kills here, so a chance maybe for Goofy Goobers to penetrate the backline. One player to deal with around the back though is going to be Kings, and oh god, it's so difficult there to deal with Kings towards the back. He finds a double that just makes things so difficult for Goofy Goobers to get anywhere close towards the hard point. T-Bag's going to bring his Predator missile down from the heavens to ensure that the rest of this time does go Team Mayhem's way. And the bigger problem here, I think, for Goofy Goobers, as T-Bag brings the War Machine out, is that they are still spawning towards the backside of this hard point, and the rotation toward P3 is about as far away from this as you could possibly get.
Yep, Jesus trying to cut off those rotations, will not be successful in doing so, but another player there to intercept. That's going to be T-Bag. He's able to pick up kill number 10. And Team Mayhem through the first two hard points, 108 to 1. I may have been generous with my 250 to 47 prediction. Raph doesn't even seem interested in moving anymore. He's just going to kind of chill, let his teammates do some of the work. T-Bag should be able to cut off another. He's playing the lurk, able to take down Excellence, and once again, Goofy Goobers struggling to even get in the vicinity of the hard point.
Oh, it's just despicable, isn't it? Watching Raph with the R9, watching any of these guys with the weapons they're using at the moment, to be honest with you. Mayhem gifted a free rotation towards P3, and while they're certainly going to hold on to it, the tightest grip you have ever seen. It's a death grip. And Kings now really want to ping this one home with the Annihilator. He finds a couple of kills. The kill feed is just constantly yellow. And even now, if you don't expect a break from Goofy Goobers, to be fair, with 20 seconds left, if anything at this point, I'm expecting the way to double the points to rotate over towards New, but this is insane. I can't remember the last time I saw a hard point that was this scoreline.
Yeah, this is just a different level of dominance, and unfortunately for Goofy Goobers, things can't really be all that high hopes heading into this, as you do have operators going out, but they do take down Raph off of his equalizer. They have the rotation right here, so if they can find a way to deal with cartels, maybe an opportunity, but I believe that's a Pred in the sky. Not going to clear off the hard point, but just as it looked like they were going to get their second point on the board, and they do. That's going to be a kill going through for Team Mayhem. Just like that, the contest has gone through, so Goofy Goobers able to quadruple their score line, but Team Mayhem there and ready to contest.
This is insane. Oh boy. Team Mayhem trying to find their way through. At least there's something here for Goofy Goobers. Raph wants to deny though. No, deny he will. That's 3 for the equalizers, make it 4. Raph is on a tear. 5 for him. Mayhem now spawn trapping. What is that? That is insanity from Raph. What is that, 7 concurrent kills for Raph? Sure, he's got streaks, why not?
That wasn't even a team wipe. That was like a double wipe. Oh my gosh. They spawned in and were still dying to him off of that. And he was mid-air shooting at completely different teammates, and they were still not able to take him down. Team Mayhem now up 197 to 7. Operators have been charged. Dozita taken down off of his immediately. Another one gonna come out. Nas. Can he find anything out of the claw? Brainy's going to contest on the opposite side, and timing goes their way. 2 kills out of the claw, and finally an opportunity for Goofy Goobers to break into double digits.
At this point, it's too late, though. You have to imagine, with all of the utility that Team Mayhem have built up over the course of this game, the way in which they've played it so far, for them to come back, for Goofy Goobers to come back into this game, I think it would actually be one of the most sensational hardpoint comebacks I have ever seen in my casting career. And I've been casting Call of Duty for almost 8 years. This would be nuts, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Mayhem at the very least can't finish things here, but again, that problem for Goofy Goobers is that Mayhem, they know how the spawns work here, they know exactly where Goofy Goobers are going to be coming from, and they know exactly where to look in their defense of P1.
I really just need Goofy Goobers to get 20 more points, and then Team Mayhem can end it. They're going to pick up a little bit of scrap right there. They make it up to 29. Goal for Bobby is 47. Can they make it happen right here? They've got the rotations. Opportunity to pick up some time here on P1. King's looking to contest, but he's going to get shut down, and Goofy Goobers continue to move upward. Jesus lurking in the vents. Will he be able to find anything from above? Couple of tacticals do go out right there as Goofy Goobers continue to move up. Now 45 points right here. And Team Mayhem not going to be able to stop them. They come up short. I think they were actually trying to time it perfectly. I have a feeling they looked at the stream because they were literally sitting in vents doing nothing until right at 47.
All right, well, they're on 48, mate, so you're no longer the new Mayan calendar, but Team Mayhem still look like they're looking for an apocalypse hit. Goofy Goobers, disastrous situation for them. 54 now and counting. They're going to look to get the last 15 seconds here. Team Mayhem are going to need to move towards the rotation to finish off this game, but they're going to grab the last 15 seconds off P1. Goofy Goobers, they've got a good chance at getting control for P2. But Team Mayhem have got a penchant for breaking pretty fast here. Dezito was looking for a jump up through the window. That's not where Team Mayhem are coming from, or at least it wasn't where only Team Mayhem were coming from. 3 points away from victory. Teabag looking for the final kills. Raf and Cartel is going to combine for 4. All that's left is Dezito in the background, and further into the background they go here as Goofy Goobers allowed 57 points. The cheek to be 10 points off Bobby's score.
I'm honestly mad at Team Mayhem because I think they could have made that happen if they did the math a little bit more carefully, but I think they were too slow on the exit out of vents, and it ended up costing them. And to be fair, Goofy Goobers held off that push, so they were able to pick up 10 more points, but obviously not enough to make things close. So as expected, like, this is not remotely surprising. We knew the hard point, if any of the maps, was going to be the one that was lopsided. The big task for Goofy Goobers, regain from that and try to see if you can make it a competitive Express. We would assume that's their map pick for the S&D as well, given that Team Mayhem have had their go-to map as Arsenal whenever it comes to Hardpoint for the majority of the season. That feed out of Ralph was one of the crazier things that we've seen this season, the Snapdragon Pro Series.
I wish I could do that. Oh, look at this. Look at it. He watches them spawn in and he kills them again. I mean, that doesn't tell you what you need to know about the spawn knowledge from Team Mayhem here on Arsenal Hardpoint. I don't know what does. And if that's not a warning to teams, stay the heck away from him on Arsenal Hardpoint. We've never played this against don't do it. It's a really silly idea, and there is exactly why. It's a new folktale we're creating here in the Snapdragon Pro Series, and that was a pretty good map for Team Mayhem. You can see it in the stat lines. I don't think it's even worth talking about the stats, because you can probably guess that they smashed them.
I wonder what the more data button. For those of you who couldn't tell, they like overhauled the stat screen, and I don't know what happens when you click more data. I don't know if we can do that on broadcast because it might take us down a rabbit hole or something. But yeah, looking clean with a little change to the UI right here. Jesus saves 2 minutes in the hard point plus 11. Top stat line on the squad, and across the board as expected, Team Mayhem taking care of business. And with that, we get ready to move into map number 2. It's going to be the Express Search and Destroy. What's the route that Goofy Goobers have to take if they're going to be able to take more than 3 rounds?
Unpatented aggression. I genuinely believe, I think the only way that you can kind of take down Mayhem here is by playing them at their own game. You know that Mayhem are going to come out aggressive. I think it's been the case for teams going back towards open finals from the very beginning here of this stage of the competition. It has been when you let a team like Mayhem get going in the way that they have there in map number 1, you know for a fact that they're going to play super duper aggressive into round number 2, map number 2, excuse me. Happens every single time. Without fail, I guarantee that Mayhem just run straight at them here. Defense or offense, you name it, they're going to do it. And the only way to beat them at their own game is to play them at their own game by being super duper aggressive. And that has to be the case for me. I know it's unlikely that they're going to outgun Raph with the R9, but you're still going to try.
Yeah, I think you throw some different looks at different bomb sites as well. Being predictable, I think, is one of the things, especially when it comes to the Express Search and Destroy, that's been the downfall of a lot of teams. I don't remember what matchup it was last week, but this, I believe, is where we saw nearly the fastest Search and Destroy that we've ever seen. Maybe it was in EU. I can't quite remember. I just remember a lot of really, really fast rounds of Express Search and Destroy. So I'm anticipating that's going to be the case once again, but if Goofy Goovers can match that aggression and win some of those opening gunfights, have some well-placed utility, definitely an opportunity for them to make this an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. I think we want it to be interesting. We want competitive games, ultimately, right? I think Goofy Goovers want competitive games because they're going to come out of this series. If they win or lose, they're going to play Rejects right after this. And you don't want to just go 0-6 on the day. You want competitive games. You want some kind of map victory here for Goofy Goovers just to have some kind of positivity through line through those two series. Because if they get smacked here on Express Search and Destroy, I don't know what those next 4 maps are going to look like.
And I know that Rejects are the one team that has actually dropped a nuke so far this season. It happened in an off-broadcast match.
I want to see this.
But I believe it was Rivalry against Team NBA, if I'm not mistaken. And what?
Nothing. I was just trying to think, like, because Rejects is so good at Search and Destroy. You know how streaks are like not allowed in Search and Destroy. Is a nuke like counted in that?
No.
Is it? Can you get a nuke?
No,
in
you
Search
can't
and
get a
Destroy?
nuke.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because that wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, yeah, Team NBA. You were saying.
I do feel like you're overestimating Team Rejects Search and Destroy, but that's a different
Dude,
topic.
what? All right, we'll get into this when we talk about Rejects. Rejects Search and Destroy is insane.
It has been insane versus the teams that they've played. That's all I'll say.
Are you saying the 7-2 that they got over Mayhem was because of Mayhem, not Rejects?
Mayhem
Is that
are
what you're saying?
Mayhem are uber streaky.
What about the 7-2 over Truly? 7-2? 7-1? I think it was 7-2 or 7-1.
It was good.
Better than that. Yeah, there you go. See?
We'll see. We'll see.
I feel like it's going to be a really interesting conversation. We might as well talk about it while we wait for whatever's happening right now with map number 2. It's going to be a really interesting conversation to have around Rejects and Seminoles, isn't it? Because
Main reason I say that is just because historically, that Rejects/Tribe roster have never been able to take a search off of LG.
But they've gotten close, right?
Not in many instances.
Like I have this. Let me get the stat lines up from the last guys. The last times that these two teams have faced off, it was a 7-4 Meltdown Search and Destroy, 7-3 Tunisia Search and Destroy, 7-3 Meltdown Search and Destroy, and then a 7-4 Slam Search and Destroy.
I would not call any of those close.
Middle of the park close.
They didn't even touch OT a single time.
That's true. But then again, Seminole have also been touching OT a little bit too much this season. Like, they've gone OT 2 or 3 times when they probably shouldn't have done. So, you know what? Look, there's a lot of conversation to be had around Rejects and Seminole, and we will have it when the time comes. For now, though, it's time to continue here between Mayhem and Goofy Goovers, and it's been a pretty good start. Goofy Goovers coming out pretty strong here. Trades going down. We're now in a 3 versus 3. Goofy Goovers want control of B. They've probably got to get rid of Jesus Saves if they want to get the bomb down. And instead, Jesus Saves, well, he's not saving anybody.
He's able to take down one. Excellence cannot land a shot, and Jesus looked like he was going to be able to play his life. Venti from the top side's going crazy with the R9 J358 combo. Right now, King's looking for a hop-up spot, see if he can take down Venti. Not as tight of a round as we expected to open things up, but we did see them match the aggression that we saw out of Team Mayhem so far. Now an opportunity for Venti to take the opening round for Goofy Goovers. Going to lurk over toward that crossway. May very well have an opening on the A side. It looks like Kings will continue to lurk, trying to find an opening angle. If he gets the bomb plant down right here and takes some positioning over the top side, this may very well be a winnable round.
This would be, what, 1v3 for Venti?
I believe so.
Right? Be pretty impressive. Maybe the train will come in and help him out. Dude, was that nade actually going to land on site, or did Venti just get jump scared by a nade?
I think he got jump scared.
Look, that's scary, man.
It sounded close.
Yeah, I don't know if it was close enough to take him down. Venti does get off the bomb. Kings is holding steadfast over towards B. So the bomb will go down, and really these post plants have been the end-all be-all of these situations. The train comes through. Kings is now taken away from the site for a little bit longer than he otherwise would have been, but now the train will go away. 30 seconds still to go here in this 1 versus 1. Kings is sticking to the L card to make this one happen. He's going to check all the different positions. The angle is good. Did he get the audio cue that Venti dropped down there? Kings is still searching for him and just chilling in the corner. All sneaky like his Venti, the better one for the situation, but Kings has him for a breakfast. 1 versus 3 denied.
Oh, man. That's a tough way to go down. And to be fair, he played that about as well as he could have, but Kings read that to perfection. And especially when the quickscope lands right there, not a whole lot that you can do. Maybe if you're Venti, look up a little bit more. We were kind of staring at the ground in the position that we were, and you got to put yourself in position to win. But not a bad opening round for Goofy Goobers. Teabag going to be able to find one to open things up. I forgot that Tundra is now off of cooldown as well. Definitely anticipating that that is going to be a dominant sniper rifle in the competitive scene, as I believe 3 weeks is the cooldown time. Now in play in a 1v5 opportunity for excellence.
You know what, though? He's got the DRH, and that means if he hits his headshots, 1v5 incoming. Hey, look, if Legacy can kind of do it, Excellence do it. Whoa, hang on. We'll know. Okay, Excellence. You got me excited there for a second, buddy, and then you just... It went wrong. I tell you what, though, it went wrong for Goofy Goobers there in that round. Mayhem made the adaptations. You know, it's kind of the first opening snipe from Goofy Goobers back in round number 1. The reason why the round was even possible in the first instance went Naz's way. This time around, it is won by Team Mayhem instead, and all the numbers fall in their favor, therefore, from that point onwards. Team Mayhem now having to deal with a different look here from Goofy Goobers.
And they read it so well. They get Raph hopped up into that mid building early. Kings isn't going to get taken down by Nas to get things started. With Venti getting pushed up, should be an opportunity, but until you deal with Raph, you're going to have to second guess every move right here. But another kill comes through for Nas. He's got 3 on the board already. And now Raph in a tough spot, 2v4 for him and Cartels. Trying to zone off some of this area, but not a lot of information to work with. Cartels has got to be the one to open it up with a sniper in hand.
And maybe Raph could find something on the exit here, but the more time that Team Mayhem take waiting for Goofy Goobers to come for them, the more time that Goofy Goobers are going to have to get the bomb down over towards B and force a rotation out of Cartels and Raph. This is difficult, especially as that bomb does inevitably go down now. What does the post plant look like, the retake for these players? They're still looking for Goofy Goobers to run into them, but now they're on the move.
Cartel saw Brainy cross through here. I don't know if he's going to expect him behind that corner, though, so takes an alternate route. Could be the opportunity to open things up if he can find Nas through that entry. And my gosh, he's just working with pixels, but that's all he needs. Another shot's onto Excellence right there, but can't quite connect. Raph's there to trade. One player peeking from below. Brainy not going to get spotted out. And that's going to be Goofy Goobers closing out the round right there, giving us a competitive search and destroy.
I tell you what, if Excellence loses that initial trade, though, there is a world in which that 2 versus 4 happens, but no. Well played from Goofy Goobers right off the rip there, and stopping Mayhem from retaking the site. Making the decision to actually transfer over was probably the best part of that entire play, but now it's into a fast one here for Mayhem. They're getting aggressive here on the defense, straight through the middle of the map for 4 different players. Venti's ready for 1. Trades looking actually pretty good on the whole for Goofy Goobers here, but Brainy wasn't ready for a second player sitting inside the control station. Second as well, as Excellence goes down, and now it's Naz left up in a 1 versus 3. They know he's got a sniper rifle. They know where he's been playing every single round for the last 4. And off the back of that info, Mayhem get another round on the board.
Teabag showing the power of the Tundra right there as he closes out the round and extends the lead back out to 2 for Team Mayhem. Once again, the aggressive plays definitely work for them, but split push, it looks like, is going to be the avenue they take on this one. And once again, if you can get Raph cleared out of the top side of this mid building, you can find something, but it's just such a difficult ask. Nas has been phenomenal for this squad so far. Kill number 4 now on the board for him. Raph's been able to climb up. Kings is not going to read this, so that should be a freebie for Dozita, and just like that, Goofy Goobers have retaken the advantage.
Yeah, evens now, though, with the map control that Mayhem have. I'm not actually sure I'd call this an advantage of Goofy Goobers. Is they take Raph out, it will be okay. They haven't been able to do that so far, and it's been a really passive round on the whole for Goofy Goobers. They've been very tentative about it, and now their options here in this round are pretty limited as Raph takes 1 player down. 2 have to push through. Oh, good read coming out from Naz to take Teabag down to the flank. But Raph, again, is still being a menace up top here. It's such a massive annoyance. It's one that Venti's going to have to take head on, and indeed he does. And all of a sudden, this becomes a 1 versus 2 here for Cartels.
Question is, do they realize he's lurked up this far? Looked like Nas was going to be first point of contact, but he opts to hop up right here. Now the question is, does he get any audio to work with? An R9 around the corner, but shot's not going to connect. Does Cartels realize there's a second player here? Should have heard that hop down. He's going to be able to get to the bomb heady to work it. Nas not in position to take the shots. Now that's going to give Cartels the advantage. The bomb has dropped. It's got to get retrieved. Only 28 seconds, and Nas goes all the way through. Cartels reads him like a book.
Man, what a weird round there. Objective, take out Raf for Goofy Goovers. They get there eventually and bring it all the way down to a 2 versus 1. And then Cartels happens. Mayhem, once again, living on a prayer and a dream. 4-1 up here in this one. And they're going to get a free plant over towards B momentarily, but it's a very similar look to what we saw from Mayhem on their last defensive effort. 3 players straight for the middle of the map, and they are not going to anticipate this flank whatsoever.
Oh, Brainy, did he not watch 3 people go through and he gives away that information for free? Big missed opportunity. Goofy Goovers still able to find a couple players, but find themselves down a man. They're getting collapsed on right here. That shotgun has got to connect. And unfortunately, Cartels is going to be there to make him pay. Team Mayhem extend out the lead even further. Now up 5-1 as we flip sides.
Oh boy. Mayhem feeling pretty dominant here after what has been a solid defensive effort. Now, as you said, mate, we flip sides here and Mayhem on the offense, and I've got a feeling they're going to be a lot more full-initiative than other teams would be. So aggressive and so confident that they've given Jesus saves the bomb, and he's being super duper aggressive. He's actually just running laps. So now back behind his team on the relay race towards A. King's going to get taken down by Brain. Trades galore. Jesus saves goes down, and that's pretty awkward for Cartels and Raf here in a 2 versus 3, because they've got to retrieve that bomb that's, I believe, slap bang on top of the train.
Excellence with nade to work with, seeing if he can find anything across that top side. Nothing going to connect, though. Like you said, bomb has got to get retrieved. They're going to hop up right there. Dozita initially not able to make him pay, but now all down to Raf as he moves into a 1v3. Bomb has been retrieved. He's got 11 kills to his name. It would be pretty crazy to make this happen with nothing but a Fennec, especially given the angles we've got. But wow, that's a way to get things started. 1 kill on the board, leaves the Goofy Goovers guessing. It looks like he's going to be able to catch another off guard, but the R9 connects for Venti. And they're able to avoid what could have potentially been disaster right here as Goofy Goovers find their second round.
I think those kind of rounds right there, Team Mayhem can be a little careless at times, and those are the kind of rounds that Goofy Goovers need to take advantage of, and indeed they absolutely do.
Watch out! Flashbang!
So second round on the board now, Goofy Goovers back to a more usual approach here. Up close and personal with the R9 on site is Raf, and he already finds 2 kills in quick succession just like that. Naz did get through. I don't actually think they know it though, so he has that to work for his advantage here, but has already made his position known by taking down Raf. Oh, just whiffs. That shot versus Jesus saves as well, and now Naz is in trouble because these guys are just going to pen him in while that flank comes from behind, from Teabag, and yeah, Naz just runs right out to the open anyway.
That's a ballsy move to push forward through the smoke with a sniper in hand. If he had hit a god-tier quick scope, maybe could have made a clip out of it, but was not meant to be. Raf's dominance continues. Now 14 on the board for him as Team Mayhem look to make their way toward a 2-0 lead in this series. A little bit more of a passive approach right here. King seeing if he can find anybody to over-aggress. Excellent spotted out, but will not peek there a second time. Interestingly enough, looking like they're trying to bait this Goofy Goover squad into something right here, but 2 players taken down right off the bat. Cartel's going to be able to stay alive right here, and once again, going to remain in this passive position, hoping that Goofy Goovers over-aggress.
I think the problem for Goofy Goovers here is that they are so massively split up. Venti, the only one covering the B site. And to be fair, Mayhem were not exactly bunched up either, so Venti's able to get away with 1 kill here, but traded his state. Teabag picks up that kill. Mayhem should now be able to retrieve the bomb and get it down on the B side, unless they're making mistakes. Excellent. Gets a good look at Teabag, but not good enough. Cartel's going to take him down, and now this is difficult. Dozita got to pull off a 1 versus 3 to save the game. And as that bomb goes down, you got to imagine that Raf's probably going to get some good time in here. Did he just see him? Yes, he did. See you later, Dozita. Or maybe not. Raf's just going to stare him down. Apparently, he's got the power of a Weeping Angel.
I think they may be looking for an execution right here. Zeta has no idea how many people are looking at him. Here's the audio cue off of one of them, but does not hear the second that is directly behind him, and seems like he is absolutely terrified for his life. They continue to triangulate on his position, and at this point, he doesn't want the round. He just doesn't want to get executed. Makes his way in. Cartels is right there. Boxing gloves connect. Will he try to make the move? 1v3 opportunity. Rafts the final one, and the kills go through, but the round will not. Goofy Goovers fall to Team Mayhem once again and fall down 0-2 in the series.
You know what, Zeta? You may have fallen, but you did it with grace. And that's all that matters, really. You didn't get executed. No assassinations to talk of today.
Mike Tyson would be proud.
Yes, towards the end. Oh man, that's tough. That is a tough search and destroy, I think, on the whole to swallow for Goofy Goobers, because there were moments there where things were looking relatively positive. They had the right idea on a number of occasions, but I think most of the rounds they ended up winning over Team Mayhem were down to kind of that lax play that we know that Team Mayhem can pull out from time to time. But certainly in these early rounds, Mayhem were trying to figure out what Goofy Goobers were up to. There was a little bit of kind of back and forth between the two teams. But once Team Mayhem had kind of figured it out, Goofy Goobers felt like they were left behind.
Beauty of a shot right there for Cartels. I am curious if we do start to see the Tundra come out a little bit more. I honestly forgot that it was off cooldown. And even though it did get a nerf in the changes today, I think it's still a definitive #1 sniper as far as the meta goes. So maybe, especially heading into that Seminole versus Rejects matchup, something that we could anticipate to see. I think one that would definitely fit the playstyle of a player like Washi. So we'll see if any type of changes come out as far as this weapon meta goes. But for this matchup, like you said, most of the rounds that Goofy Goovers were able to take, fairly careless for Team Mayhem. And, you know, offering up a couple free kills is a goodwill offering, but not going to be enough for Goofy Goovers to take anything in the series.
Not a lot of goodwill to be found there in that Search and Destroy and Express. That was at least not quite as bad as the Arsenal Hardpoint of a map for Goofy Goobers, but still, it was not a nice experience whatsoever. You can see the stats there, Raf hitting 14 and Cartels hitting 10. Pretty much what we expected out of those players after what we saw in that game. Now, we move on to a Raid Control. I already very briefly mentioned this, Goofy Goovers. They are 2-2 in Raid Control. I believe it is the only Control map I want to say that they've played this season. They might have played like one other one. Still, though, they must be experienced on it. They must know what's up. They must be ready for it.
Main goal is to not get stuck in the Zim spawn trap. And that's something that I'm anticipating Team Mayhem are going to go for fairly aggressively, just given the gun skill gap between these two teams. So I think you got to stick to the basics. If you are Goofy Goovers on the offensive side, hit your swings back and forth to those opposite objectives and try your best to keep Team Mayhem off guard. And for Team Mayhem, just play fundamental control and you should be good to go.
Yeah. Spoiler for everybody at home. I'm going to be putting out a video soon about Raid Control because I've seen too much of it where it's irritated me. I want these teams to know how to play Raid Control, okay? So I'm going to give you guys a little spoiler right now. As you said, flipping on offense, I think making sure that you're not just butting heads towards one of these points is paramount. Secondly, avoiding the spawn trap as much as humanly possible. I think it's going to be difficult to do. I think with just how quickly Mayhem are going to play aggressively here. I think one of the things that gets me most for teams on defense in particular is knowing when to give up on Raid Control. I think a lot of these teams kind of don't know that when a point is lost, you really should not be investing resources into it anymore, because you don't end up just losing lives. You end up losing map control, and you kind of don't want to do that because you want to be pushing the offense as far back into their spawn as possible, so they have to kind of work for it again once they've captured one of those points. And I don't think enough teams realize that, and I don't think enough teams kind of work towards making sure that they are guaranteeing map control off losing a point.
All right. Well, we'll see if Goofy Goovers can avoid those mistakes as we get ready to head in what is potentially the last map of the series. Obviously, Goofy Goovers do have one more matchup on the night. They will be going up against the Rejects coming up next. Once again, we don't anticipate that that's going to be one that is any easier, and especially given the stat lines that we've seen so far, they got to start building some momentum right now.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way about that matchup as I did truly when they had to play Mayhem and then Rejects in that order. I feel like if you don't beat Mayhem, you're going to have a tougher time against Rejects. Again, that is just based off our current conceptions about where we believe these teams to be in kind of the power rankings, as it were, given what we've seen between the top 3 teams, the big 3, when they faced each other, apart from obviously the Seminoles versus Rejects matchup that we've got coming later today. But yet still, this is going to be extremely difficult here for Goofy Goobers. You got to have it. A reverse sweep would be, chef's kiss. I don't know if we're going to get it, but you know what? Look, we'll hope, mate. We'll hope.
All right. See what they can do. It is going to be Team Mayhem starting on the defensive side. Teabag cross mid's going to be able to find one. Kings finds the other. So that initial push should be slowed, but they don't have any information toward that A side. So Goofy Goober's able to get pushed up right here. They don't have to hop the objective, though. They're just kind of playing with the position that they've got right now. One player hops on, but not looking to sack. And with them taking some mid-map control, should be an opportunity to get a solid chunk of time until Mayhem find their way in the kitchen.
I don't necessarily hate this from Goofy Goobers because they are preparing for positioning for players to make their way down towards the basketball court. And to be fair, Naz does actually catch somebody off guard. Slow enough, they are still capturing A, and Mayhem have almost entirely given this one up. They're certainly sending 3 players over towards B. Again, this is what you'd expect a team like this to do, but they are sending a couple of players back over towards A to perhaps try and save it last minute. Cartels and Teabag were those players, but Venti are going to catch them off guard. So 2 minutes on the clock now for Mayhem to lose control of B. Goofy Goobers, what do they do off that capture? Because they've lost a couple of players. There's only still 1 player over there, and that was Dezita, and they go down. So Goofy Goobers now back to square one. This is what I was talking about, Bobby, right? Team Mayhem, they lost A, they gave it up, and they set themselves up with the spawn trap over here by B.
Yep, especially with Raph in the garage. You only need 1 more player to be able to enact that. Teabag able to take down 1. They're still trying to hunt him down, and the drop shot hits right there. Should have been an easy kill, but he's going to, bare minimum, be forced out of garage right there. So you make sure you avoid that big loss of life, but still have to deal with Raph. He's been able to build streaks already, and Cartel's just kind of playing with his food right there as Team Mayhem still hold the life advantage. You do have some solid time to work with if you're Goofy Goobers, and especially with Excellence taking down Jesus. Still an opportunity where you can take this round.
Honestly, I would like to see a more conceited effort here from Goofy Goobers to go round on the flank. They're sending 1 or 2 players to disrupt the flank. It needs to be more than that. It needs to be a bigger effort. Maybe they'll be able to do it off individual... Oh, God. All right, in the middle of my sentence, Naz goes down. I didn't get to see it on screen, but we did see it on the minimap, and I assume it was a turn on. They need to be a lot better here with sending players on the flank because they've been kind of butting heads with Mayhem up the driveway for the last minute and a half, and the time and the lives have gone down to almost 0. Cartels putting up art pieces in the gallery as Goofy Goobers now in a 4 versus 12, now making it a 2v12. This is extermination here with just Naz left alive, and I don't think he's going to pull off a 1 versus 12.
And that's the thing, if you leave it all down to head-to-head 1v1s, you're just not going to be able to go up against a team like Team Mayhem that's so much more experienced than you are. You can tell they really want the execution, but unfortunately, no opportunity there. Raph actually missed his opportunity. 9 seconds remaining. He's very fully aware of the situation at hand, and he has no intention of making his way onto the objective. They get in position, but they mix the execution button. Nas hops on right here, and he's going to see if he can play Ring Around the Rosie until they hop off the objective for long enough, but he says, I'll do it myself. Ends the round. Team Mayhem take the opener.
Yeah, and I said it there. I think Team Mayhem, they did the right thing on the defense. They gave up A. They maybe sent a couple of players, but for the most part, the look was, all right, let's get map positioning towards gallery because we know how important spawn trapping is off the back of that, and Goofy Goobers just kept on hitting it 1 at a time instead of making the effort to go on a flank, and that was their downfall in the end of that round. So big start from Mayhem here on the defense. On the offense, looks to be an even bigger start. Goofy Goobers here immediately annihilated, not a single kill. How about that for a 5-for-0 trade? Team Mayhem now starting to get the big guns out as well.
You got Raph pushing up with the equalizer. We know what he's capable of with that in hand. Dezita sees him, but it's not going to be in position to take him down, but a little assistance from the teammate to do the opening damage. Able to take him out. Unfortunately, they have already lost B, and they've lost 10 lives to the 3 of Mayhem. Cartel's going to be pushing through, Purifier in hand. Raph says, you know what, I'm trying to end things quickly. We'll drop the Puri. Kings with Annihilator as well, and just like that, A is completely wide open and for the taking for Team Mayhem.
Yeah, Mayhem already over here as well. Jesus Save's going to bring out the Sparrow. Oh my goodness me, was that a pre-fire with the Sparrow? What is going on? Jesus Save switch back over towards the split spade here for the rest of these kills, for the rest of this capture, and it's going to be a double stack, so this will go just a little bit faster. Goofy Goovers now. And an inevitable flank coming through from Excellence says probably not that inevitable now as he's going to get shut down. They're going to have to be a little bit more honest with it through the basketball side, and no chance for a Hail Mary shot here. Team Mayhem. That was fast.
It was. I think if you're Goofy Goovers, these operators need to come out soon. I'm assuming they were probably planning on saving them for round 2, and then they saw the 15 life deficit and were like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. We'll see if they can make anything out of it right here. Dozita does pop the Annie. We see the War Machine coming out for Brainy as well, so we'll see what type of value there is, but a couple players going to drop off the bat, and the value is going to indeed be not very much.
How about that for a pound shot value? This is North America, actually. Dollar store? Dollar store value?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Dollar store value right there. Goofy Goovers not having a good start to this round at all. And they're already now starting to face down that map positioning that we've been talking about in the past. They're going to play number 4. Cartels finds a couple of players. This is now just going to be hanging about in the bedroom side. Might actually even go for a potential look at the Zim spawn trap here. Certainly looking for it by adding pressure towards that garage side. But if anything, I think the overall goal at the moment for Team Mayhem here is to just completely dominate in terms of the lives, completely dominate in terms of the pressure, because there's 40 seconds left, and Goofy Goovers really haven't had that much of a look at all at getting anywhere past their spawn. Finally they do, and it is happening towards that A point.
We get a 4th operator coming out right here. That's going to be the Sparrow. See what they can make of it, but Raf's doing everything he can to make sure nobody can move their way forward at all. The equalizer comes out for Venti as well, but you got to make a move. There's the Sparrow taken down. Now all down to Venti. He's going to be able to find one. That little bit of extra protection for the equalizer works some wonders. But once again, you're down 8 lives. You don't have any objectives captured. You get players hopped on to B right here, but it's all down to Brainy to try to stay alive. He's going to be forced off the objective. He gets shut down right there. And with only 7 seconds remaining and only 6 lives, no realistic opportunity for Goofy Goovers to make their way back into this one. It will go down to time as Team Mayhem dominate as expected. A 3-0 and a 3-0 in the series. Yeah.
Analysis. How do you analyze that? I mean, 3-0 in the control. That was a pretty dominant effort there from Mayhem and Goofy Goovers. I think a little bit was brought on themselves at points. I think there's not so much you can do when Mayhem are just constantly running at you in the way that they did and constantly winning the 1v1s. What they can do is change the strategy a little bit as you get further and further into the control. You do need to try and play the flanks if you can. You know, if you're getting approached towards the driveway side, if you're getting spawn trap, go out the bedroom side. You know, you have that part of the map to work with, and the fact that they just continually didn't do that, I think there is a certain element of only having themselves to blame. But you know what? It's difficult. Mayhem are a really tough squad. Again, I said it once, I said it again. If I was in Goofy Goover's shoes, I probably wouldn't even do this. But still, again, improvements do need to be made. I think that's where Goofy Goovers now need to look ahead of their matchup versus Rejects.
Yeah, I think that opening round was not bad at all, but like you said, they made it way too one-dimensional, just single file pushing up driveway. And especially when you've got the map control that Mayhem had, you're going to constantly be losing out on lives in those gunfights, which you can't realistically afford to do. So maybe an opportunity for some improvements to take a look back at the VOD and see where things went wrong. But if you're Team Mayhem, that was about all you wanted out of that one, and you have a solid close to your season as you lock in number 3 spot.
All right, match number 1 comes to a close. A strong performance out of Mayhem. Like you said, Bobby, nice way for them to close out their season now, as that was their last match here for at least the main portion of the season. Obviously, we'll be seeing them in our challenge finals as well. We still have 2 more matches on the day, though. You guys mentioned it when you were talking about them. Goofy Goovers have to play again. So how difficult is it to go from top 3 team to top 3 team and mentally reset in between?
I wouldn't be able to do it. I'll tell you that much. It's so difficult, and some of the best teams in the world certainly can do it. I just don't know if Goofy Goovers are going to be capable of that. You know, at this point, you know, we've already talked about it. Goofy Goovers are not going to be able to achieve anything by winning this matchup other than just the bragging rights of winning the matchup, right? They are locked in at 5th. They have their prize pool share. They cannot make it into playoffs. So I don't think they'll be sweating too much. but still, I think after that one, you will still feel a little bit of annoyance, right?
Honestly, lots of respect though for them for showing up when they had their hard matches, even if it wasn't making a difference. They still, like you said, they solidified their prize pool. They're right outside that top 4 bubble, but like lots of respect for them for showing up and still playing these matches and finishing out their season in whatever way they can. Before we get into match number 2 though, now that you guys got to take a look at that leaderboard and see those updated standings, we have to do a little bit of a break before we get into match number 2, give our players a moment to kind of rest, recover, and get themselves reset and ready to go into match number 2. So we'll just go do that, okay? We'll send it to a short break. When we return, match number 2 between Rejects and Goofy Goovers right around the corner. So we'll be right back.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force. Welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series. It's time for us to start looking towards our second match of the day here, the last day of the main portion of our season. And we just watched them play, but we're going to watch them play again because now that match number 1 is done,
It's Rejects versus Goofy Goovers yet again for match number 2. That's going to be a difficult combo there mentally to go up against, but we're going to see what they can manage.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just difficult because we were having a very brief discussion there in break about kind of like, it's so difficult to go up against these two teams in quick succession, not having much of a break at all after you just got whopped in the first series against Mayhem. And granted, again, part of that discussion was a little bit was their fault. But now you got to go up against Rejects, even worse. It's like, I don't know, you guys have played Elden Ring, right? It's like when you fight Melania and you do the first phase fight and then there's a second phase. This is what that is like.
Wow.
I've not played it, but
You guys haven't played
I believe you.
Oh, wait, yeah, no, I know that Lauren hasn't played that. I don't know why I even brought that up. Anyway, here's Reject.
They're pretty good. Adding Envy was definitely a solid pickup, you know? Definitely
Yes.
very good COD Mobile player, world champion. I guess Western Stage 5 champion. But regardless, he is definitely somebody that you do not want to be going up against. Lauren, you good?
Yeah. What is going on with you?
She's being attacked by her pen.
I'm fine. Everything's fine. We're going to start getting our picks and bans through here in just a second. I'll give you guys some more stuff to talk about and break down when it comes to this matchup here. Obviously, got a little bit of a trial run there for Goofy Goovers when it comes to what they want to maybe work with when it comes to that map pool. And maybe we'll see some different variety coming out of them here for the second match. Yeah, variety, Summit. And
Not really good
Variety
variety.
variety is a tough one.
I think they're like, oh, we did ban on Arsenal. We'll ban Arsenal. But I don't think they did their research in regards to the Rejects' typical map picks.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, it's so difficult because, again, to be honest, and this is, you know, we might criticize the map picks a little bit, but it's difficult to veto against some of these top teams. This is what I always say. It's just like, it's so difficult because they don't have bad maps generally. Like, I think the only one that ever comes to mind is over in Europe where we talk about, I want to say it's exclusive, that just can't play Arsenal Hardpoint. That's like the only example that comes to mind, and I promise exclusive that wasn't a stray against you guys if you're watching this. But it's difficult. So I'm not going to criticize them too much, but still, I think at this point you are just kind of vetoing for yourselves, and Hardpoint hasn't exactly been a strength for Goofy Goovers anyway, so.
All right, we get the Slum Search and Destroy. Was that where Rejects dismantled Mayhem? Am I thinking correctly, or am I misremembering?
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I think that was Tunisia.
You're right.
And we do have that map number 5, so hey, you know, if we get to map number 5, it's going to be a good time for Rejects, but I don't know if we're going to get there. That said, I brought this up during the first match. Goofy Goovers, this is a favorite for them. Slums, they're 1-3 on it. They played it 4 times, so they are the very least seasoned on it, but very different gravy against Rejects for sure. So there's that, and of course, raid control. Look, you know what? They can learn from their mistakes from the last series with the raid control.
Hopefully they used our 4-minute break for a quick VOD review to see what they could fix in the raid control. And, you know, might be able to make things a little bit closer than they did against Team Mayhem.
it's definitely going to be a difficult matchup, obviously, given Rejects' record in the season so far, their performance in the season so far. But this is going to be the last matchup that we see out of Goofy Goovers as well. So that will be the end to their season after we get through this. So for now, I'll set you guys off to the other half of the studio. You can take your time if you'd like. We'll start getting into match number 2 in chat. As always, let us know your thoughts as well on how you think this one's gonna go.
Bobby, I've been told I'm a slow old person by you guys.
Yep.
So I mean, I guess a slow walk would track, wouldn't it? But alas, this is probably not going to be a slow series. Let's be honest. Rejects. This is really tough. It is so incredibly tough for Goofy Goovers here.
All right, I think we may have some breaking news.
Oh, whoa. Oh, wait, is this breaking news?
Team NBA waved the white flag in the current matchups.
Is this actually breaking news?
So they're off-stream matches. They will go 0-2 once again. I think that was kind of expected.
Yeah. It's tough.
I thought that had already happened, but that's good to know.
Yeah, well, I was like, I thought that was already. We were like, yeah, that's definitely something we knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's breaking news for you guys. So NBA, obviously, I think they had a tough go at things at the start of the season. I want to say like the first couple of maps were just not good for them. And I think past that point, they were just like, this is just really difficult. But you know what? Fair play. I think, you go up against some of the best teams in the world. I literally think, I want to say their first match of the season was seminal. And that is like draining. That's like if you were, I don't know, if in the Potterverse and your first like one duel was against Voldemort. That's the best example that I can give. But it does leave them here 0-7 in the season. Sane, I think we're supposed to play them today. So I think they're supposed to be 1-6 there. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong in that instance, but it would give Sane their first win on the board.
All right. Well, even though they go 0-7, they do not come in last place because at the bare minimum, they followed the rules, so they get an extra $250 because of it. So congrats to Team NBA. But obviously focusing on the match at hand, we do have Goofy Goovers versus the Rejects. I'm curious if we see, like, maybe prior to playoffs or day of playoffs, if either of these two top teams announce that they've been picked up by an org. That would be interesting to see. Obviously, that's something.
Goofy Goovers.
Yes, Goofy Goovers. I think they're going to get picked up by, by FaZe.
What are you talking about?
I heard that FaZe were really interested in picking up this roster, so very excited for that announcement to come out.
Dude. I was so, you confused me. That's all I just like one of these two rosters and I just thought you meant Goofy Goofers or Rejects.
All right, well, Jez hopping down from above. Goofy Goovers already off to a much stronger start than they had against Team Mayhem. I believe it was 107-1 through the first couple of hard points. The fact that they've already been able to get 3 points is a sign of improvement for them. Obviously, having Venti, a seasoned shotgunner on this map, is something that will work in your favor, so we'll see what he can do up against the R9 in the hands of Solo. Unfortunate timing for S-Thug as he gets taken down right there, but Envy on the bottom side is going to be there to lock things down. Rivalry shut down, though, and Goofy Goovers in control of the hard point once again.
Trying to make it work against Solo here. Solo looking for these kills. He's going to find one. It's actually a double for him against Naz. Excellence down low here, trying to survive for the squad. And P1 is always a bit of a mess, I think, here on Summit, so it's difficult to get a lot of time off it, and you're seeing that right here as both of these teams vying for the time. Goofy Goovers at the end of the hard point going to walk away with 14 points, but there is an opportunity for them to kind of have a really good start to this game off the back of P2, but they have to make sure they get close towards the point, and right now they're getting spawn trapped towards the back of that P4 side. Nice kills starting to come through from Rejects here, and this is again what separates some of the best teams here from the rest, is Rejects, they kind of recognize that, hey, Goofy Goovers aren't wholly spawning there. There's a couple of spawn outs towards the radio tower side. Recognize it, they take those players down almost immediately.
Brainy in position to make his way toward P2 right here, but he and Excellence locking down the bottom side first. Brainy contests, shut down. Excellence waits for the reinforcements. Unfortunately, there's a Solo directly up above him with the equalizer in hand, but Nas gonna be able to take him down. A couple errant shots out of Solo going to end up requiring an operator of him. Jez doing his best to keep the hard point clear, but once again, solid feed here for the Goofy's Goobers. They're able to break back on in. Now Rivalry going to be forced to try to contest for the hard point right here as he gets shut down as well.
Yeah, Goofy Goovers now not in such a great spot. They will get the scrap time away from Rejects, or maybe they won't. Solo wanted to give it a little look yet, but only finds a couple of seconds away. And this is the big problem now for Goofy Goovers. I was going to talk about it just then, that they do not have control of the rotation for the next hill at all. And now you're starting to see some of the investment coming out from Rejects early on too. Solo's going to find the double with a Predator missile. Now we're making it 3. Switches over to his regular weapon, the R9, to get that one done. And Rejects are even being so bold here as to actually push out down this kind of right-hand side. It's not something you see teams often do. You kind of see them play a little bit further back to kind of allow Goofy Goovers to make their way up the slope, but that hasn't happened. One player going to go down now, though, and maybe Goofy Goovers can start to find their way through here. They've broken the front of the kill. Rejects trying to send a couple of players down the front, and while they decide it's time to bring out some of the operators here to break back through, they want a dominant hardpoint.
If you're Rejects, you don't really need to hold these spawns for that much longer. Maybe give up some control around that 20-second mark, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to plan to do. So they intentionally spawn the Goofy Goobers in the backside, and with that, they have control of the hard point and easy rotation toward next. So even though they give up a couple of seconds of scrap right here, very nice setup toward new. There's one player waiting for them on the inside of the hard point. It's going to be Brainy pushing all the way through, looking to anchor spawns, but he's going to get shut down by Jez. And with that, Rejects in position to once again build on this lead.
Yeah, once again, you're giving away the rotation to Rejects here, and this is just not a good look whatsoever. We do have a few operators on side here for Goofy Goobers, but you've only got one currently being utilized by Rejects. It's Jez, who's already picked up a double there with the Sparrow. Dezito, well, I did want to have a good go at things with the Annihilator. That's not happened. Solo also having a pretty good look here with the equalizers. Goodness gracious me. Every single time we see the operators come out for Rejects, they make good use of them. Solo is really starting to heat up here. Excellence on the head D. Oh, Solo. This is a position that, generally speaking, you don't really want to be using the equalizers. And Solo is doing such a good job of it. That hunter-killer drone, well, it hunted and it killed.
It does the rest of the work for him, and he's going to be able to pick up an AR as a result. So now a little bit of a dual threat in that position. Still 13 seconds of scrap to lock down right here. Dozita takes a quick switchblade to the head. And, a shaky gunfight right there for Jez as he's not able to clean things up. Once again, Rejects picking up the scrap. Now on rotation. They're trying to make quick work of this map. Once again, players in position. It's S-Thug in the top side. Not going to look to get the scrap time right here. He's going to maintain that map control. Can't find Nas, though. Opening for Goofy Goobers to maybe find some contest, but once again, the ARs reinforce for Rejects. And they are completely in control of this one and have been realistically ever since P2.
Yeah, it's the rotations. I think that's been the biggest problem here for Goofy Goobers, is they've not been able to get anything going at all in terms of just rotating away, grabbing the spawns for the correct side of the map in terms of rotation, and Rejects have been running away with it because of that. Ever since you said, mate, P2, now we're starting to see the utilization of more of these operators. Raballo is on an absolute tear with the War Machine at the moment. Apparently, his biggest enemy is the railing right in front of him, as he's only able to get past one of those pellets for a kill. But yet still, doesn't matter. Rejects are sitting inside. They will not be able to finish the game here on P1. But, I mean, look where they're positioned at the moment, Bobby. They probably will be able to do so on P2.
Yep. Goofy Goobers do their best to find some contest time right there, but once again, they realistically have not found any hard point time since that Mixie P1, P2 setup. Looked like they might be able to bring things closer than they had against Team Mayhem, but Rejects trying to make sure that that is not the case. Nas pulls out the claw, trying to see what he can do with it. A little two-piece for him, make it 3. Has not yet been traded out either. Jez gets taken off of his Sparrow. And a solid 5 seconds the hard point for the Goofy Goobers, but once again, Rejects looking to end this one as quickly as possible. Nas gonna get taken down, but the claw in hand, and Rejects can very feasibly win this one right here, and especially with Venti getting taken down, looks like more than likely that'll be the case.
Goofy Goobers still sending warm bodies at this point. Rejects now just looking for the last few seconds here. Envy, Solo, everyone contributing to it. Just one more player inside to deal with it. It's Venti, and, well, no more life left in them. Attempted flank for the final few seconds coming in through Naz, but nobody is going to get there in time. Rejects put Goofy Goobers away pretty darn quickly there in that hard point. Honestly, off the start, the way that they played on P1 and even on P2, I was expecting a relatively competitive game, especially considering I think when we even got to P3, they were forcing operators out to maintain control for Rejects, but just we got past that point and it started to snowball. We started to get to the point where every single rotation was controlled by Rejects, and Goofy Goobers just were not able to get anything.
You know, if you split the difference in the hard point scores, you get 250 to 47. So
why do I know for a fact that during the entire, like, what, 30 seconds in which I was talking there, you had that ready to go. You were like, I cannot wait for him to shut up so I can say this.
I just wanted to put that out there, you know. To be fair, they did play things fairly close in the first couple of hard points, and they even like found a push through on P3, which is not easy to do. So I thought with that, they were at least going to be able to break 100 points, but
Hold on, is that true? Is the maths on that correct? How many points did they finish?
Technically, it's off by like 0.5, but...
Wait, no, it's off by more than that, isn't it? They got 30 in this one.
Oh, they got 36.
Oh, they got 36? Okay, then you're right. Okay, fair. I thought they got 30, and I forgot about that, like, the last 5 or 6 seconds they managed to grab off this last till, to be honest with you, because it was so inconsequential. But Goofy Goobers just couldn't get anything done there, could not get anything moving for 90% of that game. And Rejects, I mean, like, it's one of those situations where every single time we saw an operator from Rejects, it went not to waste at all. They were just decimating every time we saw some kind of response attempt from Goofy Goobers. It was no more than that, an attempt. And Rejects showing again why they are one of the best teams we have on offer here in North America.
Very odd to see Esta going negative in that map. And obviously you do typically have him as an AR player, so not necessarily a role that is going to thrive on Summit, but regardless, they take the win and they do it easily. So now we get ready to head into the Search and Destroy. You would presume once again that this is probably a Goofy Goobers map pick. So we saw them take a couple of rounds off of Team Mayhem whenever they were on the Express. They'll look to do the same here in the Slum Search and Destroy. I would say of the modes that we've seen them play so far today, that one was the least shaky.
Yeah, I think that's fair because they were being competitive on Express, right? I think, you know, we look back to some of the earlier rounds and they were going tit for tat with Mayhem and they were answering exactly what they were bringing to the table. I think it's just kind of as we got further and further into the Search and Destroy when they started to give a few rounds away, started to do a few silly things, and Mayhem, I think, just started to run away with the Search and Destroy from that point onwards. The problem being, and we'll have a part of this conversation now, and I think we'll have the whole conversation when we get to Rejects versus Seminole, is that Rejects are a very good Search and Destroy team. I think they're a very good Search and Destroy team.
Oh, I don't think they're a bad Search and Destroy team. I just don't think they're as good of a Search and Destroy team as you're giving them credit for.
Look, for the most part, Seminole and Rejects have played the exact same field of teams this season, right? Okay, are we agreed on that?
No, it's just because Rejects, they're regular season
cold
warriors.
hard facts.
No, they're regular season warriors. Like I understand they've done it better. They're regular, like. Seminole are just going to kick it up when it matters most.
All right, all right.
So I'm just going to put that out there.
I'll hold back the stats till when we get into that matchup. We got some important stats to talk about. For now, though, Rejects, they've got to get through Goofy Goobers first. They had a good go at things in map number 1. Now here in map number 2, they are starting off with aggression towards B. That's not where a lot of this action is going down. I love this look from Goofy Goobers off the start. Straight through blue, not a care in the world. The problem is the response from Rejects is just as aggressive. They really want to take this bomb site back. Oh my goodness me. What a response from Rejects. Goofy Goobers ran straight to A. Rejects were like, what do you guys think you're doing?
That was a speedy response, and especially when you can get solo through that broken wall with an R9 in hand, there was not much the Goofy Goobers were able to do. Obviously, Venti's going to look to counter that. But they get aggressive through the mid-map right here. Much slower approach that does not benefit them to open things up, or Brainy's going to be able to trade out one, and just like that, we're into a 4v4. We see the Tundra coming out for a couple of different players on this Goofy Goober squad. But Esta going to be able to lurk forward and once again able to get a lot of information as they're wrapping all the way back towards spawn.
How did they allow him to get there? There's not a soul in Graveyard. I mean, I know that's the point of Graveyards, right? But nobody is there from Goofy Goobers whatsoever, and they have given up way too much map control to Rejects here, to the point where an already difficult offensive effort is going to be even more difficult, I say, as Esta gives his entire body away to Brady. Might as well, if you're in the Graveyard, go and jump yourself straight at a hole. Envy now looking for some pot shots over by Bricks. Somebody chow, please. Brady's going to do exactly that. Envy walks away. Riballo deals with the shot. Teamwork is the dream work for Rejects.
Jez should have the read onto Excellence right here. He's actually going to wrap back toward Broken right here, and maybe some connection issues, so he's going to bank on his teammates to, at the bare minimum, have that information. But unfortunately for Rejects, Riballo is going to get shut down right there by the Tundra in the hands of Venti. So with that, they should have an opening to potentially equalize, but Envy reads to perfection, just like that, into a 2v2.
What?
Finds another onto Dozita. And he's trying to make it a 1v3 by himself, as his teammate really just giving comms at this point.
Okay, Excellence 1v2. Ooh, stay away from Envy. All right, gets the shot. Hold on. Oh, Jez is going to take him down. All right, I want to see that from Envy's perspective. I need to see it. Envy, I pray to God that you have your POV somewhere, because I need to see that turn on snipe. That was disgusting.
He's not a player that posts his POV a lot, but most of his teammates do. So hopefully one of them was recording to see that one. As Rejects do clutch up and take another round right there. Tundra remains out for Nas as he tries to find the opening over toward the A side. One player tucked away in the corner. That's going to be Solo. Once again, R9 in hand. And he's going to make quick work of that opening kill as Nas drops. So it is Excellence. And just like that, only 3 players remain for Goofy Goobers.
Now, Brady's got the right idea at least. Probably knows that someone's going to get over-aggressive, and yet, good call, but even better is the trades from Rejects. Fenty now left up in the garage, and he's going to need a fix up here. I don't know why I said garage so aggressively. Yeah, it's a garage, and Rivalry's going to take him down. Rejects 3-0, overwhelming are they, and that's the kind of situation there where you've got the numbers, you might as well just push through even on the offense, or defense, excuse me.
All right, let's see if we have any adjustments. I would like to see some more of the aggression that we saw to Goofy Goobers. Obviously, it didn't convert anything over toward the A side, but at the bare minimum gave them a strong opening to the round, and it was only the later gunfights that really put things out of reach. They allow Solo to get aggressive, and he finds 2 to open things up. Envy hoping for wallbang to connect. Nothing right there, but nearly takes the head off of Nas. And once again, Goofy Goobers just sitting in spawn and giving away so much real estate to Rejects. Not going to be a reliable strategy if you want to catch them off guard, and certainly not doing so far.
I feel like you've just kind of cut the head off the snake at this point, to be honest. Every time that they get the numbers, Goofy Goobers just look completely dead on the offense. They don't know how to respond. And again, to be fair, it's slum search and destroy on the offense. When you don't have the numbers, it's difficult enough when you do. When you don't, things go from bad to worse here. Nade being cooked over to try and deal with the player on bricks. That's not going to happen, so they're going to have to get up close and personal to get it done. Venti, Karam in hand. Jez gives him the free kill, and to be fair, that's the way you want to deal with it if possible. The problem is, Estag had already made his way through blue. Now he's looking for the second kill against Azito, and actually going to take him down. All of a sudden here, with that kill against Rivalry, we left up in a 1 versus 2 for Envy.
He's going to hit a wrap back toward the A side, gets the information the bomb's been retrieved, and we'll see if timing goes his way. Should hear Dozito right around the corner. Shot connects, and now the opportunity at the 1v2. Nas going to lurk through Graveyard right here, but it's a pistol out, and Nas is able to make him pay. Goofy Goobers find their first round here in the Search and Destroy on Slums.
And that is a round, again, that really should not have gone Goofy Goobers' way. The only reason it does, the sole reason it does, is that they're able to exploit the aggression that they expect from Rejects, and that's what you need to do. We know Rejects are going to run at them. Will they make that mistake again, though, later on during the Search and Destroy is the question. Well, it's one offensive round that Goofy Goobers otherwise wouldn't have gotten. And this is a look that we saw back in round number 1, where Goofy Goobers, right off the rip, decided to go straight through blue. They only need 1 kill to garner control of the site, but ideally you want to get the bomb down before the retake happens, and that does not occur. Estag finds an easy double. And now, Goofy Goobers, you are in trouble because you are nowhere near the middle of the map with the last 2 players and nowhere near the bomb.
Yeah, that's a nasty spot for it to be down, especially given the fact that you have no map control. You get Excellence lurking way back. He's going to be able to find one on the trade, but Estug is there in response. And once again, Rejects back in the driver's seat. 1 more round for them on the defensive side. And outside of that one well-timed clutch, Goofy Goobers have not had much response. I did once again like to see the aggression over toward the A side. They do send a couple players that way. It's just a question of whether or not they'll be able to actually capitalize on it this time. It looks like Rejects getting aggressive right here. Solo already pushed up toward that garage area.
And it is a very similar look from Goofy Goobers once again. This time, though, not as aggressive in towards blue, and it gives Rejects a chance to react. One player over there is going to be Envy, who does get shut down by Brainy, and now Rejects don't have the numbers here, but they do have 1 player pushed all the way forward. It's really aggressive, some Solo. Surprisingly so, and that's a real surprise. A nasty one for Dazita to deal with. Rivalry also going to shock Venti, and now Excellence left in, well, that position. Rivalry going to find a second kill, and Rejects, man, they are somehow just getting these players through behind enemy lines and being so annoying.
And the thing is, like, they're winning gunfights where they're just at pure disadvantage. Like, no reason that Excellence gets gunned right there, but it's just a straight-up gun skill difference. Rivalry makes the read and does not miss a bullet at the same time. Now they're going to get on the offensive side and have the opportunity to be that much more aggressive. So Solo hopped all the way up. He's just flying through the sky. Looks like Superman with a shotgun. They've cleared things all the way across the middle, and Goofy Goober's just staggering back, trying to find some avenue, trying to find something to work their way through. Jez gonna miss on the first, but he won't do it a second time. Not gonna be able to find the closer here on the round, but 2v2 as Goofy Goobers are able to equalize somewhat, make it 2v3. And Nas 1 HP should be shut down right here. Once again, Jez, maybe a little bit laggy in this one, but with Excellence only 10 seconds remaining, he's just playing for kills.
He's going to find the first. Nicely done, but no time for the defuse hit. So Excellence is donezo in this round. Just get away your life, make KD look a little bit nicer with that final kill coming through. But it is ultimately a round for rejects, and this is what you don't want to see if you forgive is an aggressive reject squad on the offense that are feeling themselves. It's tough when a team on the offense gets in that position. I assume we're going to see the exact same look out of rejects, because why not? Let's just end this search and destroy how you've ended pretty much every single search and destroy so far in this tournament. Exactly like this, pure unpatented aggression. There is a response from Excellence, but not one of much at all from Goofy Goobers as Rivalry finds a double. One player left alive, and I think they were looking for the execution there. Dezita for in a 1 versus 3 though.
See what he can make of it. Bomb does go down over on the B side, but information should have been given. And it looks like Reject's trying to get sneaky right here. A couple players looking to hit the flank. Oh, and they're just hunting right now. They're not even looking to play around the bomb site. See if they can catch him off guard. Does he realize Jez is snuck through spawn? Yes, he does. So the opening for the 1v3 is in hand. Envy looking at a trick shot right here. 360 does not connect. He's going to be forced back. Once again, Rivalry should be there just in case a trade is needed, and Envy gets shut down. So now all down to Rivalry. Realistically, no time for Dezita. He's just trying to see if he can make something cool happen. Able to find the kill. Not enough time for the defuse. And Rejects handle business once again here in the search and destroy, as it's a 7-1 win.
Wasn't that almost the exact same way the search and destroy between Goofy Goobers and Mayhem ended, with Dezita in a 1 versus 3 and refusing to get executed?
Yes.
Man, it keeps on happening to Dezita. I feel really bad for him. Regardless, that is another victory there. Another dominant search and destroy victory coming out of Rejects there. 7-1 this time around. It continues what has been an unprecedented spree of search and destroys from a team here in the Snapdragon Pro Series. And yeah, I don't think it's that much of a surprise. To be honest, I think sometimes you take it with a pinch of salt for a team that starts that strongly on defense, because at the end of the day, it's slum, search, and destroy. But as we got into the offensive rounds from Rejects, I think the reality of the situation really does start to set in that, hey, no, this isn't just a defensive team that's up 5-1. This is just Rejects being up 5-1.
Yep. There's just only so much you can do in a situation like this, right? When you've got the difference of experience between the two squads being years worth at this point. It's a difficult gap to overcome, and obviously you expect Rejects to handle business. They do just that. Maybe a couple rounds look a little bit close, but I don't think realistically this is a locked-in Rejects squad either. So you see one round slip away and not really the end of the world. Obviously, when you got Solo doing whatever he wants to with the R9 in hand on either side of the bomb, that's going to be a nightmare for the opposition, and especially given the fact that Jez was pretty much lagging for the entirety of the game, and it still didn't look like they were remotely contested at any point. Got to feel good for Rejects to continue to run through this one quickly.
Yeah, I think they would have been disappointed with anything more rounds than a 7-2 victory. I think that's kind of been their goal again. That's been the highest scoreline that anybody's put up against them so far this season. So par for the course, I think, for Rejects to take the search and destroy in the manner that they did. Next up, though, I believe we have a raid control. And we can analyze here about Goofy Goobers, because we saw potential in them when they went head-to-head with Mayhem just 30 minutes ago. This hasn't been a long series, to be honest with you, so far. And Goofy Goobers, I mean, look, they had potential. They just made a few, I think, key mistakes where if they could fix them, hey, maybe this will be a competitive game.
Yeah, I think they should be able to make something out of this one. especially if they can capitalize on maybe some issues for this reject squad, some players not fully there, then could potentially take a round. And once again, if they had thrown a couple different routes over toward the B side in that opening round against Mayhem, it wasn't a massive life differential between the two teams to start things off. They were just not able to close out the map well. So we'll see what they can make out of this one, but it looks like we'll be hopping into map 3 fairly quickly right here, as we are good to go. And they will be on the offensive side to get things started once again.
Alrighty, Goofy Goovers, what do you got for us? What have you learned from your last experience? When that happens, it feels a little disrespectful, right? The chopper coming out right from the rip W. That's Solo who has that in his hand. Rejects now don't even really need it in terms of defending the point, but he's going to be over here to try and help out regardless. PDW from Jez. What is going on? It's just like off meta central or something like that.
Have you not been watching EU? They love the PDW.
Yeah, I see you there.
Yeah, that's true.
Rejects doing a good job at the moment of keeping Goofy Goovers at bay. Not quite as dominant as you would like, but Zeta decides that it's time for the boxing gloves. This is a really weird match so far. Solo is on a hell of a good start as well. 4 kills for him.
All right, S-Thug trying to ward off the pushing players from Goofy Goovers. Not going to have an avenue to take down Nas, so they'll be able to at least stop time right here. They get a tick of progress, and none of those kills go through so far, so they're able to keep the time ticking upward. Rabalo's finally going to hop out. He gets shut down. Unfortunately for Venti, he gets spotted out by S-Thug, but Solo's made his way all the way through to spawn. And it looks like the Zim spawn trap is underway once again. Venti doing his best to avoid it right here. Not much of an avenue to make his way out. A couple players do go down right there, and Jez gets taken out. So they avoid much of a life loss, but still down 7 lives, make it 8 right there, and no objectives fully captured. Has put them in a difficult position, investing that much time trying to escape.
Yeah, this round, to be honest, I don't think this round has been fundamentally that erroneous from Goofy Goovers. It's just been rejects pummeling them the entire time. Venti, what is that? What do you do when Jez is doing that to you? Excellence now for a 1v12. And he is being hunted. Look at the arrows on the minimap as well. Envy, is he trying to put some Somalis in the wall or something? I don't know, he's just putting bullets everywhere. Goes to timer. Onslaught will be survived by the last remaining player, but not so much for the entire team in what was a dominant round for rejects.
Nas pulling out the secret weapon. Looks like the Chickum is the go-to heading into this one as they're on the defensive side trying to see what they can do. And once again, Solo just information checking across mid. Not going to be able to find the kill. Zeta does take him down off the opening. That's going to be life advantage, even if only for moments for the Goofy Goovers. And Envy's going to be able to pick up the Chickum right here, seeing what type of damage he can do with the sniper in hand, able to find the opener, but shut down. And once again, Jez just going to sit on the objective and wait on those reinforcements.
To be fair to Goofy Goovers, they've done a good job of keeping rejects at bay for the moment here. But again, part of that conversation we had earlier on about what teams need to do here on raid control is in terms of map control. At the moment, they're stacking way too many players on B. They haven't read the rotation towards A whatsoever. And now rejects are just going to be chilling. The clock will stop. Solo now looking to spawn trap these players, or at the very least keep them away from the basketball side. Does manage to play his life long enough that he can retreat towards the kitchen side, has the help from Envy, who's watching the basketball court. And while all this is going down, while all these kills are happening, rejects are slowly but surely capturing A. It is only one person on the point, but that one person is enough. Jez, though, will go down, so reject's going to have to install another player on the point. Solo doing a good job inside the kitchen, though, keeping these guys at bay. That's a couple more kills that once again will widen the kill advantage here for rejects, who are now looking to find the third and final tick over towards A. They will get it, and now Goofy Goovers, well, now you guys can start to kind of focus here on B.
All right, 8 life differential, and it continues to build for rejects. Jez makes his way up, continues to beam with that PDW in hand. Brand new skin, I believe that's part of the reason he's rocking it right now, and Solo has not been read by these remaining players for Goofy Goovers. Takes them a while to hunt him down, and rejects continue to move upward on that B objective. Couple shots ring out, but Goofy Goober's only 3 lives remaining in a minute 44. No realistic hope of taking this round either. Has been dominance through and through for them. One player all alone, and Solo doesn't have the patience. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. He does not have the patience. They're gonna wait for this final piece of information and see if they can have a little fun here.
Brainy might be having a bit of fun with them. Yeah, they just decided to jump on the point. Yeah, like we're not messing around here. We just want to get this one done and dusted. Another second round on the board here that started, I mean, relatively well for Goofy Goobers, to be fair, but Rejects just started running away with it after they stopped messing around. One final round for Rejects here to flawlessly 3-0 this control and 3-0 the series. Goofy Goobers, it's been a tough day for them. A little bit of mercy, perhaps, towards the end of this one. Shots going off in the middle of the map here. Rejects sending every single player in that direction, so nobody can contend with on that laundry side. And Goofy Goobers are deciding to invest everything into this offense.
Ooh, Sparrow comes out for excellence. He's going to be able to take down Rivalry. Like you said, all the operators come out, but they've not really seen any life differential as a result of it. They set up 2 right here. Nas with the only operator remaining. And once again, Rejects running basically wherever they want to. Goofy Goobers have done a good job on the objective, and they're going to be able to lock in B pretty early. So with the life situation the way that it is, not terribly undoable. Question is, what's the map control going to look like? But with one player getting taken down top laundry, and now the Zim spawn trap in play, Solo's going to be able to find 2 right there, and they continue to spawn directly in front of him. Dozita trying to escape. He said, I'll do it with MW11, but can't quite connect right there. And the lives remain fairly even, but Rivalry taking down 3 right there is the last thing you want to see if you're Goofy Goobers.
Nothing left to say. Absolutely nothing. Momentarily, Goofy Goobers, they get out the spawn trap, but right back in it here are they, as Rejects really starting to screw them in. So they're stuck now towards the Annihilator for a couple of kills. Why not number 3? Yep. Order up. Goofy Goobers have been totally fried here. Esther going to use the Predator missile to take a couple of players off spawn. This is not nice at all. Solo, bring him home. Give this one some closure. As Goofy Goobers down to the last set of lives here, mate. Bobby, this one is done.
Yeah. Call them Team Disciples, because there is no hope. Excellence all alone. 1v18 right here. And he's the one getting hunted this time around. S-Thug not going to be able to spot him out. Solo just spinning in circles with the equalizer in hand, and Excellence just terrified for his life. MW11's enough to get the final kill. And that's Rejects with the 3-0. Not a fun day for Goofy Goobers.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. We said it coming into the day. It's like you face Mayhem and then subsequently Rejects. It's just like, mate, I don't even know. What's a comparative like? I mean, I used the Elden Ring comparison. You guys didn't have a clue what I was on about, so. What's a good comparison?
Only thing I can think of is like NBA comparison, so.
I don't know. It's like getting into a shower, finding out the shower is only giving you cold water, and then, you know, and all of a sudden it just stops giving you water at all. Is that the most comparative reference I could possibly make? I don't know. I'm just thinking about having a nice shower. But regardless, Goofy Goobers, oh boy, that was tough for them. And I think, again, fundamentally speaking, nothing too awry in that best of 5, but overall, Rejects just simply outclassed him, and I just don't think we're surprised, to be honest. This is not an indictment on Goofy Goobers whatsoever. There is just not much that you can ultimately do when you go up against one of the best teams we have to offer here in North America. I said it about them versus Mayhem, I'll say it about them versus Rejects.
Yeah, and once again, credit to them for actually showing up, because the majority of our bottom half teams have just opted not to play the majority of the rest of the game. So the fact that they showed up for 2 matches that they knew were, to say a long shot would be an understatement, but they came through, they gave it their best, and hopefully something to learn from for them as they finish off their challenge season.
All right, we're now 2 matches down on the final day of the season here. It is Rejects that come out with a 3-0, and now we will be turning our attention to the match that we were hyping up the entire pre-show, okay? This is, I feel like, what the whole season has been leading towards for this final matchup between our top 2 teams in the region. We get to watch Seminole go up against Rejects to close out everything. Before we send it to a break, just give me teeny thoughts before we deep dive it when we come back.
Small thoughts.
Yeah.
This is going to be a banger. That's all I got for you. Game 5 has got this written all over it. I promise you it's going to be a great matchup. That's it.
Game 5?
3-0 Seminole.
I knew you were going to say 3-0.
I may have some information that you do not have.
Oh, this guy.
Bobby always has information that nobody else has, and then he also doesn't share it. So like, you'll never know what it is.
Well, yeah, because this is an opportunity for me to make Brody look bad, so I got to capitalize
Is it the Orc that Seminole are going to?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, well,
We're still waiting on that.
Don't need it.
All right. Well, just get ready, okay? To close out the day, this is going to be an incredibly good match, whether you think it's going to go to all 5 or you think it's going to be a 3-0, because when we return our top 2 teams in the region, Seminole versus Rejects, to close out everything. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the Snapdragon Pro Series.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the final time of the regular season to the Snapdragon Pro Series as we are about to head into our last match of the day, the last match of all 4 weeks before we head into our challenge finals, and it is arguably the match of the season. We finally get to start talking about it. Rejects versus Seminole, former LG versus former Tribe. We've seen it time and time again. We talked about it at the top of the show. Now we're going to talk about it again. All right, Bobby, give me your thoughts.
I think that this is going to be a very competitive matchup, and I do think that the upgraded Rejects roster is one that is definitely a lot stronger than what they had at the World Championships. With that being said, I do feel like this is an upgraded Seminole roster as well. I think the fact that you have now both Tectonic and Marshy in this starting roster makes them very, very difficult to counter. And I'm not sure if Rejects are going to be up to the task, but once again, I think it's going to be close. If it's 3-0, it's going to be an incredibly competitive 3-0.
Yeah. I think the point on Envy, I think, is the biggest through line here for this entire story, right? Of course, you know, you look towards Rejects and they bring Envy in at the start of the season, and you immediately know, just given how much of a high-quality player Envy was on Luminosity, what he is going to bring to the table for Rejects, and he has done exactly that. He is currently their highest-performing player, and now he's going up against his former squad, and it's just like, is it going to be enough here for Rejects to beat them down? I don't know, we're of 2 different opinions, I think, on how we think this one is going to go. I think, well, to be fair, I think we both think Seminole are still going to take this, right? We're still on that page?
Well, I thought that Rejects were the better search and destroy team.
Yes, so...
But how would they do that at map 5 if...
Control.
Oh, but if it goes to map 5...
Oh, yeah, good point. Oh, what, 3-1? Shut up, Lauren. Shut up. 3-1 is how I think this one's going to go.
I've been quiet the whole time. So I said nothing.
You know what? I want Lauren's prediction.
Yeah, you always ask us for predictions.
Seminole. Also, picks and bans are going to come out.
Okay.
No, this is also going off of past performance history. We literally talked about it. If you missed it, go back and check out the top of the show. We talked about the last time not only we got to see them play in champs, you brought up open finals, and we got to see what happened last season. Now we're looking at picks and bans, starting with takeoff.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, I think that there's an element of us here having to take a pinch of salt toward the previous matchups that we were talking about, but we do still have to talk about them. We talk about kind of the performance that we've seen in the past. This was one we did see back in the Season 3 matchup between these 2 teams, and it was one in which Tribe dominated them by the scoreline I've got here. It was like 250 to 34.
Yes.
So this is a pretty good pick to get into the series. That being said, Hacienda Hardpoint is a mainstay here for Seminole. It's going to be difficult to take them down on that map.
I would actually favor opposite teams in that matchup. I would favor Rejects for the Hacienda. That's a map that they've taken semi-consistently off of Seminole, and Takeoff is a map that used to be a weak point for Seminole, but they've improved drastically, and that was the one that they wiped the board with Team Mayhem to start off the season. So I feel like early in the series, we might see things swing Seminole's way. The Express Search and Destroy is one that I know Hippo has said they feel very confident about, but Tunisia, an opportunity for, if it goes to a map 5, Rejects to potentially take the series.
Yeah, for sure. So Search and Destroy is going to be an interesting one again to see kind of how that one goes down. Tunisia is, as you said, is going to be a really strong map for Rejects because we saw them absolutely decimate Mayhem on. So should be an interesting one. And then the Raid Control, I feel like this is going to be a really, really important map in this series because the way I view this series on the whole is I think Seminole are going to take the hard points just given the improvements they've made in that mode. I do still think if we get to a map 5, Rejects will take it, but I do think Seminole are probably going to take the control as well. That's how I think this is going to go. But if we get to a map 5, I think Rejects will be fine and dandy.
I like it. I think there's a very definitive path to a 3-0 if you are Seminole, just because of the way that the maps have fallen out. I think it's unfortunate for Rejects that I would argue their 2 best maps are in the back half of the series, and the Raid, while you could say it's a coin flip, is one that historically Seminole just have been the better roster on. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up. I do think the takeoff is going to be very competitive because even though Seminole have improved very drastically there, it is one that historically Rejects have been super solid on. Like you said, you have that 250 to 34 maybe lingering in the back of your mind. So that's one that could be very, very much momentum based.
All right, well, we won't keep you waiting any longer, whether you're at home or you're at casters. I'm going to send you off to the other side of the studio so we can get into our matchup of the season. Let's see who takes this one home.
All right. We'll see what they're bringing to the table. Obviously, we kind of know the starting roster for each of the teams is... I don't think either team has a sub right now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Very different from the way that they had been formatted the last couple of seasons. But it definitely, I think, has helped to build chemistry for the squads as well, just because there was a lot of uncertainty around who was going to be starting at different points. And I think we saw that even through challenge finals for that LG squad. Having Tectonic subbed out for the playoffs is not something we expected. Obviously, they were still able to handle business, but it seems like the chemistry has definitely really solidified for both of these squads, only having 5-man rosters.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, it's something that we look over towards the third player in the trifecta of teams, and it's something that Mayhem have been struggling with this season, right? So yeah, absolutely. I think having a solidified roster and having a roster that you know you can work with throughout the entirety of the season has been super beneficial for both Seminole and Rejects, and certainly I think we've seen the gameplay for both of these rosters improve for various regions. I think for Seminole, the reason that they needed to improve was not even based domestically, but based on we need to take this seriously. We just lost to Godlike over at Champs, and we cannot have that happen again come Masters. And I think for Rejects, they can't have what happened at Champs happen to them again. They have to make sure that they are being competitive with the best of the best. The big change, bringing Envy on side, is huge for Rejects. Is it enough to take down rival Seminole here? It was going to be time. God, I hate it when that happens. I hate it when it's like...
Especially when you hit the intro.
We're ready to go. I was so ready for the map, guys, and we got trolled. Look, honestly, I'm fed up with it, mate. I'm just...
I saw Marshy first one to leave, so if you guys want to get mad at anybody, get mad at him. He's a 2-time world champion, so we'll give him a little bit of slack. But I take it back. No slack. We want to get into the matches. No slack at all. We're ready to go. I mean, this has definitely been what the whole day has been building up to, because it was pretty quick matchups leading up to this. But, you know, nice little warm-up for this Reject squad to get hopping into this.
Yes.
It might be to their advantage, or if Seminole had a better scrim, they may have had a better warm-up.
Yeah, for sure. You know what, we'll start talking stats a little bit here, because I think there's an insane stat line to talk about, and it's not necessarily between these two teams, but more about these two teams versus the rest of the competition. So look at the differentials for these teams as we get into the map here. We have Seminole 170-point differential in Hardpoint this season. That is absolutely insane. Reject's not that far behind, though, 134 points for them. These two teams have been by far and away the best Hardpoint teams we have here to offer to North America. And you know what, now it's time to get hyped, folks, as Rejects take on Seminole. And we are actually into the match now. I didn't want to get hyped until we were actually ready to go, but we are, and Rejects are going to kick off here with the first wave of gunfights.
That's Rivalry locking in the hard point time early. Tectonic's going to get dealt with on the high ground, and he does. So now Vague looking to find a shutdown. Washi pushing on through, switching it back into the SMG role. So a couple minute changes for this Seminole squad that could potentially impact the outcome. Tectonic on the low side, going to be able to take one down. Hotly contested is P1 so far, as Jez does get taken down right there. Very, very back and forth, though, and it's finally going to be an opportunity for Seminole to pick up a little bit of scrap here, but once again, nothing being made easy by Rejects.
Yeah, I don't anticipate this to be one of those hard points where we're going to see a P1 that massively goes one way over the other. We're going to see a very scrappy affair here on takeoff for sure for the entirety of the game, and we're already seeing that on P1 as these teams fighting back and forth, full control. Momentarily, did Rejects have control of the stadium for the P2 control, and they still might, to be fair, have a good look at it. We're already seeing Jez fight for control of it. Solo going to find a double in that direction, and now it's just one player isolated. That is going to be player number 2, Tectonic. What can they get done? They have Vague from construction as well. Tectonic is the one player, if anybody, that you want to play his life, and unfortunately will not be able to as the numbers fall in favor of Rejects. So it will be them now in control of P2 to start this hill.
Jez not going to be able to finish off the kill there, but the assist is Raballo picks up a 3 feed. And that's a big opening. He's got 8 kills on the board already. Has been one of the top players for this Reject squad through the entirety of the challenge season. Solo snapping onto players right there. And Seminole have not been able to find anything on P2 so far. Rivalry on the top side is going to be able to find one before he gets shut down. But that's one player pushing all the way through the top side. He gets taken down, and now Seminole, 4 players to reinforce the point.
Yeah, this is a really good position now for Rejects here as Seminole spawning out towards those back spawns. If Seminole don't even get any this time, this could be a disastrous situation, and that's why you're already starting to see them split the difference here. Yeah, Tectonic is going towards Old, and yeah, he's actually able to win one gunfight, but his job is far from done. A lot of the effort from Seminole was actually focused over by that P4 side for the rotation through that kill towards P3. Reject should be the first team to touch, but now those back spawns starting to come through from Seminole, but the reads are so perfect from Reject. They know exactly where Seminole spawn. They are ready for this, Bobby.
Tectonic takes high ground control, but there's a War Machine waiting for him, and S-Thug pops the Annihilator. He does the damage by himself. Now it's Ban looking to find something up above. He's able to do that, and a couple of kills on the low ground will find an opening for them. Can they capitalize, though? There's S-Thug. Pred Missile flies on down, and they've got things locked down as they've already built a 55-point lead right here. Finally an opening for Seminole, but only one player left. That's going to be Vague. He's just trying to keep some real estate cleared. He gets shut down. Seminole cannot find an inch here on takeoff.
I mean, this has just been superb on the whole from Rejects. They've played perfectly on these rotations. I don't think the spawn out towards the back of P2 helps Seminole on the rotation towards P3, but certainly Rejects have been masters of control here on this map thus far. The fortunes have to change for Seminole as we get into this map. Maybe some investment coming out from the operators. You've got 3 on side and a streak hunter killer drone to speak of. First gunfight, going the way of Marshy. A couple of players still inside. It's Solo and it's Jez. You got to deal with them, but flank player now starting to come through. Watching though for the double with the Annihilator, and he deals with that perfectly. What a great read coming through from Seminole. Are they going to read the split spawns though? 3 players on one side, 2 players on the other. Here we go. Looking to approach. Faye gets shut down there with the equalizers, and now an opportunity here perhaps for Seminole. A couple of kills starting to come through. They're looking to try and hold on to it, and now it's a one-dimensional attack from Rejects. Seminole, they can read this, but do they have the numbers?
They don't, and they get shut down right there. So once again, they're forced all the way to the back, and Jez with the pinch play right here. Rivalry from above. They get picked apart, and one by one, Rejects take back the hard point, even if only for a few seconds. Typically don't see P4 go this contested, but these two teams really going at it right now. Solo continues to tear through, and he's going to find a little bit of real estate, but it looks like it should be Seminole finding scraps here as they slowly make their way back into this one.
Yeah, this was a big chunk of time for Seminole. They couldn't afford to go into the second set of rotations with just 20 to 30 points. It would have been disastrous. And to be fair, while 53 points isn't that much better, it's somewhat more palatable. There's a way back into this game. Rejects are not that far ahead, and they don't have that much more utility to work with. They haven't earned really any score streaks off the back, or kill streaks, excuse me, off the back of the first set of hard points. So Seminole still in this game. S-Thug though, the rest of the squad now want to give a go at P1. Currently, Marshy's just chilling inside. He's already pretty weak, so won't be long for this world as S-Thug's going to take him down through the bottom of construction. Washi's able to find some damage, but not actually that much to talk about in terms of kills. And now you want to be careful if you're Seminole here in this situation. You don't want to invest too heavily into this P1 scrap time. You need to make sure you get the rotation towards P2 in your favor.
S-Thug takes himself down right there, so that's some missed utility, but Solo finds a 3-piece on the point. And with that, Rejects can continue to find these little pieces of scrap to maintain the lead that they built so far. Marshy on the pinch play, able to take down one, and now that's 4 down. Just like that, Seminole should be able to get the scrap time, and they've got the positioning toward top stadium right here. One player going to peek out, but it's going to be Vague hopping back in through the window. He's going to be able to deal with S-Thug in the top side, and with Marshy there to reinforce, should be an opportunity for Seminole to finally close this gap.
Rivalry, though, finally pulls a 2-piece out of his bum. And now Rejects here in a position perhaps to hold on to time that really should not have been there. Seminole, they had this rotation in their favor, and now you're starting to see investment coming out from Washi. It's going to be the Annihilator. What can he do against an Annihilator from S-Thug and the War Machine from Rivalry, who's finding kills? It looks like the value is just so much better for Rejects here. And again, these players at this level of Call of Duty Mobile, they know how these spawns work. They know exactly where Seminole are going to be coming from, and you're starting to feel a little bit of desperation if you're Seminole.
They get completely cut down right there off of a fantastic P2 setup. That's going to be Envy going big with the claw. Tectonic responds with a War Machine, but he gets shut down. And once again, it's Rejects picking up the scraps. Seminole with a solid setup toward P3, but it has got to be a near perfect one as Rejects have already built a 100-point lead between these two teams. And right now, looking like they're on their way to a map 1. What can Seminole do in response?
Yeah, to be fair, this is the hard point right here where they could get a full 60, but oh no! It falls apart right there and then. Rivalry once again pulls out one of his wondrous two pieces, followed up by a third, and all of a sudden, Rejects now starting to put the screws to Seminole here. Do they even break the 100-point barrier? They're forced to invest some of their operators. The equalizers come out from Vague, and now they're going to get shut down once again. Ban finds the double. Is there any more for Seminole? No is the answer. And they're spawning in the worst possible place here towards the back of this hill, Bobby. With 30 seconds left, they have no choice but to push through. And despite 3 kills coming through, Jez now with a Sparrow, starting to keep these guys away from the hill. Rejects just continue to find 2-piece after 2-piece.
And Rejects just... every single operator has been near perfect for them. So much value found out of nearly every player. They now sit up 110 points on the reigning NA champions, and Solo continues to blaze his way across the map. Couple more seconds of scrap time, because why not? And would you look at that, they've already got the setup toward P4. That's going to leave Seminole spawning in those weak side spawns. It should be easy for them to cut it off, and yes it is. Envy's able to find 3, close to a pred right here. Rejects doing everything they can to close things out now.
And you know they're spawning as well. Predator missile down. It finds 2. Martian Ban. Back to the respawn point you go. Spawn out coming through now. Splits for Seminole. This has to be the perfect hit for them. Is there any investment to be talked about for Seminole? Well, there is for Envy, who finds the double with the claw. Has to turn and burn onto a couple more players coming in from behind. One looks to find their way through, and they cannot get it done. Rejects now looking for the last 10.
S-Thug and Islander's gonna pop. He's trying to end things here. Vague's gonna be able to shut him down, but they still gotta get onto the point, and they've got the weak side spawns. Pinch play from Envy. Equalizer through the doorway. No avenue for them to make it through. Solo finds the final kills, and Rejects puts Seminole in the 100-point club. I was wrong.
That was not how we were expecting that to go at all. Rejects just slammed Seminole in the hard point. I mean, we were both wrong. I mean, I maybe thought Rejects would take the series, but I certainly didn't think this was the avenue in which they would start it. A 100-point club on take of Hardpoint, a map in which we've seen Seminole make marked improvements on this season, even if historically speaking, Rejects have been good in this.
I mean, literally everybody except for Tectonic was completely in the blender in that one. Minus 16 for Washi, minus 9 for Vague, minus 16 for Marshy. Like, those are not stat lines that you realistically ever see them put up. Maybe some struggles in Search and Destroy, but my gosh. S-Thug, Envy, Riballo, I mean, talk about a revenge game for Envy. Obviously, the job's not done yet, but that is a heck of a start for this Reject squad. And once again, a little bit of deja vu from last season's finale to the challenge season, as obviously we saw that these same two squads go at it, and it was much worse than a 100-point club, but LG falling 250 to 34 on this exact same map. Seems like the improvements may not have been quite as good as we thought.
Honestly, to be fair, I don't think this is necessarily Seminole playing badly by any means. I think there is an element of, you know, we compare operators to operators, and Seminoles just were not there in any similar capacity to Rejects. Every single time we saw them from Rejects, there was real value to be found. But also, I think just fundamentally speaking, Reject on a lot of these powerful rotations, they were getting control. There was key breaks coming through. I think P3 on that second set was paramount to winning the entire game. Certainly in a fashion they did. We looked towards P2 to P3 on the first set, and that was a huge rotation from them as well. Seminole just could not get anything going, and certainly I think the start of the game, the first 4 kills were so massively damaging that yeah, Seminole just felt like they couldn't get back into it. But yeah, Rejects, just insane. I also want to give a shout out to Riballo as well, because in that game I think he must have had, I think he finished there with like 41 kills, I want to say he finished with, and so many of them were clutch 2 pieces or 3 pieces to find your way in towards hard points or keep Seminole away from hard points. Riballo, I mean, we can talk about Envy all day long, but Riballo, I mean, he was absolutely the most important player there in that game.
Yeah. Puts that much more pressure onto Seminole now to take the search and destroy as we get ready to head into Express. And once again, traditionally a map that they felt semi-comfortable in, but you got to wonder, is that something that's going to shake their confidence? Obviously, we saw that last time around the challenge season. Started off slow in the search and destroy, coming off of a brutal beating in the hard point, but they bounced back. They're going to have to do the same here.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it confidently. I do genuinely believe, perhaps delusionally so, but I do genuinely believe that Rejects are the best search and destroy team here. And I think, you know, just again, given what we've seen from them this season, I don't want you guys to take too much into account the Goofy Goobers game that we saw earlier on today, but certainly the performances across the board. And I think more specifically when we look towards the search and destroy victory they had over Mayhem, that was on a Tunisia search and destroy, a 7-2 victory in which they controlled the map every single round, apart from the 2, and the only 2 rounds they gave away were clutches. That was the only reason they lost. I think it was a clutch retakes coming through from a couple of players on Mayhem. The search and destroy from Rejects has been insane this season. The differential going into today was a 5.80 plus rounds. They are winning search and destroys on average by almost 6 rounds. That's insane.
That's a crazy number. I am interested because obviously we talked about the dominance of that search and destroy on Tunisia. But once again, that's a map that historically Seminole have been really good on, and the one that they actually closed out the series up against that tribe roster back in last challenge season. So it's kind of tough to make predictions just based off that, because obviously the changes in the roster have definitively impacted Seminole. That was no question the shakiest hard point that we've seen out of them so far, but almost seems to be expected given the history between these two teams and the way that they compete whenever there's the most glory on the line. It looks like Washi is going to be going with the Tundra, so that's something we expected to see out of him. Once again, the new sniper now off of cooldown. We'll see what he can do, but to get things started, we got a big engagement across mid. That's going to be Washi taking down Rivalry to open things up.
In the end, it's going to be Seminole. I was going to say that did have the better of those trades, but Amy's going to trade things back. Now it's for a 2 versus 2. Now making a 2v1. The sniper duo left up here for Rejects in this situation. And Tectonic just going to pause for a second. He's waiting for somebody from Rejects to chow, but instead those players are actually going to double up here, and Tectonic's about to walk right into this trap.
Envy's got sniper in hand, should be able to read this. Definitely saw him across, but missed a shot right there. There's the opening for Tectonic. I don't anticipate Envy's going to peek that before the regen. He's going to actually wrap back toward that A side, and now Tech with an opening to plant onto B if he wants it, but the longer he takes, the more avenue that they can make it here, and accidentally bops his gun. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to arrive on site in time, but looks like Reject's going to look to set up a pinch player right here. The flashbang connects. That's the information that they needed. Yeah,
flash tech is good. Tectonic doesn't have the better weapon for the situation, might have the better weapon to take some shots, but he needs to make sure he hits first because, of course, double sniper staring him down. Oh, does! Envy ripped off the heady, and now all of a sudden a 1v1. This would be a sensational start to the game. Nade cooked up. Jez going to have to reposition here. Catches him as he tries to run towards the terminal. Jez will win the 1 versus 1. And Rejects will feel like they're probably owed that one because, of course, we did have that little look at the beginning of this 1 versus 2 effectively, where Tectonic was almost just sniped off before the 1 versus 2 even began.
All right. Good regain to close that one out right there. Not any major mistakes, I would say, out of either squad. Just small decisions that mattered in a big way. This time, Seminole going to head toward the A side. Make it B, see what they can do. R9 in the hands of Vague. Not going to be able to find anything to open things up. Trades back and forth. 3v3 we go. Jez finds one more, and that's going to be advantage once again as it's all down to Washi. He's looking to find himself a 1v3. First opener does go on to Jez. But the bomb is now down over on the B side. It looks like these players are going to look to play together as they now wrap back toward the A.
Yeah, that's the big problem here. Actually, maybe is it a problem at this point? Because Washi, if he finds some good timing, might just be able to run and grab that bomb and get away. Certainly these players here, giving them the time to get it done, but also there's that air of cautiousness that Washi has to take in this 1 versus 2 that might well be his downfall. Has to check so many different angles. But all the more so. S-Thug, Riballo have to be careful here. They don't want to give any kills away for free. Don't want to make this a 1 versus 1 unnecessarily. And Washi just going to rotate away straight towards A. Thinks that's probably the better option here.
Question is, are they going to look across that mid angle? And they have no lines of sight right now. So he's made his way all the way toward that opposite side of the map and should be afforded a bomb plant right here, assuming he can get it down in time. Nobody within hearing distance. So they're very comfortable playing the retake right here. Question is, what position is he going to look to take? And it looks like the overlook is going to be where he wants to be. Sniper in hand, watching the flank right here. It's all about timing. Will he find the lines of sight? The train crosses right there. Sniper in hand, really far away from the bomb, so he's going to have to try to check soon right here. They've crossed. Nade in hand, looking to cook right here, and they don't hop the bomb initially, but that might be perfectly placed, but it's not. Rivalry should be able to stick it right there, and Rejects take a second round.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Washi. He looks away from the players not once, but twice. And to be fair, while the second isn't all that important in the end because the player doesn't take him down, the first most certainly is. Despite the nade being cooked up, it is not in the perfect place. And Rejects stick the landing on the retake. 2 rounds to the good now over Seminole, and we need to start seeing these strats being pulled out from the playbook. This might be one of them. 5 stacks straight towards A. Solo, the closest player over here. Envy already out of the play, so Solo has a hell of a lot to do. And I think this might be a double chow effort coming through from Seminole. Solo looking for an unconventional challenge, and it doesn't go his way. Up close and personal, the sniper wins it.
Jez trying to find an opening, trying to find one player to take off of that A site. Tectonic's not going to overchill, and one player crosses into train. So the bomb should go down right here, and it's going to be a 3v5 retake. Really difficult spot for this Reject squad to be. And with Washi taking down S-Thug, that should be the end of the round if they're able to play this correctly. Jez finds the opener on detect, but once again, a lot of work to do, and especially with a shotgun on the inside of train. Washi up top. That's some damage dealt right there, and now a little bit more breathing room, but once again, you've got to start to move quickly, and until you take down Vig, you can't feel comfortable. Band able to take down Jez, and now Rivalry all alone. Marshy from above is able to find the kill, and Seminole able to bring things back a little bit.
Much better from Seminole there in round number 3. Team play is perfect. They swarm the A site, they get control. Rejects without the numbers cannot make the retake work.
We got the bomb.
So they're on the board. Now, do they play the same strategy, or is it going to be a little bit of a delayed here? It feels like certainly the timing is going to be looking to throw Rejects off. They're playing this one relatively passively, either waiting for somebody from Rejects to get hyper-aggressive, or, again, trying to make the timing work out in their favor. I think this is probably more the latter than the former. S-Thug, though, going to get some bad timing. Audio cue given away to Band in the middle of the map, and Band walks away with that first blood. That does give Seminole a lot more options now.
Washi playing dodgeball with grenades right now, able to keep his life.
What?
Threads the needle with the shot onto, I believe that was Tectonic, and just like that, things have been taken into hands for Rejects, all down to Band in Marshy, and with nothing but SMGs, it's going to be tough to work a map this big. Band's going to get shut down right there, and Rejects very much in the driver's seat in this one. The delayed push does not pay off one bit for Seminole, and you got to think they have a different push coming here.
Dude, what a reversal. Seminole draw that first blood. You feel like maybe the world is their oyster, and all falls apart.
Let's do this.
Rejects now aggression. We saw this back in round number 1 and 2. Vade's going to win the initial joust with the R9. S-Thug's the only trade coming out, and it goes from bad to worse here as Jez very quickly left up in a 1 versus 4. That bomb is going down, whether he likes it or not. And Jez is just in a really tough spot here. Is going to be able to get away with a snipe against Washi, and no immediate reaction from the last 3 players. So still possible here for the 1v4.
They're just going to back up toward the backside of B. Got one player playing the stairs heady. And if you can find a nade opening here, might be able to find something, but just so many angles to clear, and he's taking a lot of time to do this. At least gets one spot cleared out, but he's second-guessing himself. And at this point, he is afforded way too much time to the opposition. Only 16 seconds. There's no realistic way that he's able to clutch right here. And with this, Seminole should be able to draw things back a little bit once again. Just trying to see if he can find a pick, and especially with that snipe not connecting, can mark the end of the round as Seminole bounce back and take one for themselves.
And just one of those situations, like the first couple of rounds, where the opening joust, I think, really does dictate how the round is going to go. Seminole with a 4-for-1 trade. Leave Jez isolated. So this has been a very close search and destroy so far. Seminole have managed to grab away 2 offensive victories from Rejects. This is their last effort before we switch sides. And it is once again that slow but sure work here. And it works out perfectly as Tectonic just going to wait for S-Thug to cross his path. Rivalry gets away with a free kill against Vague and no immediate trade though. So it's not the end of the world for Rejects just yet, but they have to be careful about what Seminole might be cooking up through the middle of the map towards A.
Ooh, big kill for Riballo. Takes the advantage back to Rejects. Bomb still in hand for Tectonic, and he's going to be able to find the pick right there. So now we've equalized. They're back towards spawn. So he starts to throw a look over toward that B side. Big engagement right here. It's going to be Solo up against Washi, but Washi turns, able to get the information there, and with that, Seminole have retaken the man advantage. Marshy, at bare minimum, has information onto one player, and it looks like a full collapse over onto the A side.
Yeah. Clearance being made there by Washi. Recognize the hate. Nobody's home at A. Let's go get this bomb down. Definitively flip the situation into our favor. And that's going to be the case now. Mashi for the small little jump up here. I think wants to try and outposition players that might be coming through towards that locker's side. And it is going to be a split effort here from Jez and Envy. They've switched, or Envy switched away from the sniper rifle towards the DRH for this round. And Envy has to try and play all sneaky like towards the back. Washi's just spotted him out. Should be an easy kill. Maybe not. Actually, Envy's going to win the gunfight. Washi misses 2 quick scopes. And now a 2v2. Time is still not really on their side, though. This collapse has to happen quickly. Envy spotted out. Tectonic now just wants to try and play his life as much as humanly possible. Up top, Marshy finds one. Someone's got to jump on the bomb, though. Envy, all you've got to do here in this situation is jump on the bomb. The first kill is good. Marshy's there to close it out, though. And that is so tough. Again, time and lives just not on their side, despite that first kill coming through against Washi.
Well played by Marshy. As long as you keep somebody in that top tower position alive, it's going to be so difficult to find a defuse down below, and he's able to play time well enough to get the round there for Seminole. So now we're tied up 3 rounds apiece. Definitely looking like a thriller of search and destroy. They stack up right here. The question is, are they going to read Solo? And more than likely, the answer will be no. So the shotgun does the opening damage. And all Seminole players should be forced back right here. They continue to throw utility at it to see if they can get anything to connect, but they continue to peek one by one and feed the kills.
Like whack-a-mole for Solo. Reposition from Washi is to try and get Solo out of position. But the damage might be done here in this round. Tectonic and Washi looking for a way into the site. They get one. Envy goes down, and there is no immediate trade. I think Solo's being a little bit cagey about how he wants to play this, and it might go awry because Tectonic finds the second kill. And all of a sudden, a 2 versus 4 is down to a 2 versus 2. Players pushed away from the site. Jez, though, has the snipe. Now the 1v1. Washi tries to bait the player out, and the shot's not that good from S-Thug, but good enough in the end to find the final frag. And goodness gracious, that 4 versus 2 was much closer than it needed to be.
Seems like Washi, even though he's got 9 kills, still trying to get a feel for the Tundra. A lot of shots that we're used to him hitting that just have not connected at multiple points in this one. Rejects retake the lead right here. And some delayed utility for this Rejects squad as Solo's able to throw out a couple. Looks like S-Thug maybe out of the action for a little bit right here, so could afford a little bit more map control to Seminole. With Washi getting taken down off the start and them getting the bomb down early, should be another opportunity for Rejects to capitalize. What does Seminole have in the retake?
Maybe S-Thug being on a delayed pinch here might actually be pretty helpful for them if they can time this correctly. Might be a bit of a late help for Rejects on site. Envy going to tag one, though. That's going to send Vague into the train. Solo is there and wait to pick up that kill. Good trade from Marshy inside lockers, but Envy with these quick scopes, it's disgusting at this point. And yeah, I called it. S-Thug on the late flank. Marshy didn't quite expect it. All that leaves Band up for a 1v4 with no time to make this work whatsoever. Rejects, unconventional, but they get it done. And Envy a big factor in that round.
Was the best sniper on that LG squad not sniping the entire time? Envy pulling out the sniper, 11 kills on the board, and now up 2 rounds against his old team. The revenge arc is most certainly started right here as, once again, when you let Solo get pushed up into the top side of this A building, nothing is going to be easy for you on the defense. He's able to push all the way through. And it looks like there should be an avenue for Rejects to make their way onto A. Obviously, one sniper overlooking. That is going to be Washi. Do they have a counter?
Envy has so much to do here. This round might entirely rest on his shoulders, whether or not he's able to read a flank happen from Seminole. But Seminole here, going to disseminate that flank. Vague now the only one on the attempt. They instead choose to reinforce players over towards the A side. And so for Rejects, the hope that they could get the first blood before making the move forward is now no longer realistic, especially as Solo goes down here. So now they've got to try and find another way through this round. Vague on the other side of this wall. Jez, easy does it, gets the pixel, has seen the player, but Vague has the much better weapon here.
The question is, did Vague see him? And it definitely seems like he should have. No reason for him to over-aggress right here. And like you said, with R9 in hand, he can just sit back and wait for Jez to push. Right now, Rejects have nothing to work with. A little bait shot right there. See if he can force him out, and he plays it to perfection. Jez drops right there. Rivalry, maybe look down, brother. There's a band right there. He's able to take him down, and now 2 players remain for Rejects. Envy trying to get the quick scope to connect, but no value found for him with only 17 seconds left. It seems like they've all but chalked the round as Envy drops. Though just playing for a couple additional kills right here. Thought for a second that he was just going to feed the kill over to the train, but it's going to be Vague there to close out the round.
Yeah, that train's been on a rampage this season for sure. But it's not going to find a kill here. Back and forth we go. Seminole chasing the tail of Rejects in this one.
Defend the objective. They have the bomb.
Rejects just trying to bait out Seminole in so many of these offensive efforts. That one did not work. This time around, seeing Seminole getting very aggressive through the middle of the map. Envy's just seen Washi, but the initial shot is going to be missed. And now the 1v1, the jump shot from Envy is good. Now numbers in favor of Rejects here. It's been a brilliant start, and they are going to capitalize on it.
Question is, do they know Vague's here? And yes, indeed. Jez able to take him down, so now 2 players out of the equation for Seminole. And the question is, what can Band do? The answer is absolutely nothing. Now on to Tectonic and Marshy. Trying to clutch up. Marshy looking to find a pinch through mid. Tectonic's taken down 1, but so many different angles he has to constantly check, and S-Thug hits the flank right there. Solo's already done the damage, though. Marshy should have been spotted by Jez. He is indeed, and Rejects now 1 round away from taking the lead here in the series.
I love that from Rejects. You get that first blood, you immediately capitalize on it. There is no waiting whatsoever, and you send Seminole into kind of a frenzy, right? They don't know what to do, especially as they lose Vague. The round just falls further and further away from them. Rejects have been phenomenal at capitalizing on these situations, and it feels like they might be given one again. Seminole have gone for a huge gambit here. 4 players straight towards B. Only 1 to contest with, and it's probably the worst possible player you want to deal with because it's Solo, who is ready for any potential flank as soon as this bomb goes down.
Tectonic trying to find that player that's made their way into the bomb site. Can't find any lines of sight on those players over top of A as well, and it's going to be a tough position for a 5-man retake, but Washi's going to be there to open things up. Still 1 player remaining in the top side. Vague takes control of train right here. And with Marshy getting that trophy down below, he's got somebody to overwatch from above. It's got to be Rivalry there to take him down, but Tectonic is there to save his life, single-handedly taking care of Marshy, and he's going to be able to close out the round to keep things alive for Seminole a little bit longer.
Rejects here in this situation, 6-5 up now. Could well close it out on this one. And it's going to be straight back towards A here, Bobby.
All right. They get aggressive toward the A side once again. It's going to be Seminole sitting back, and obviously pressure onto Washi to find that opening play. He's the one overlooking onto the site, not going to be able to find the crosser. So Rivalry should be able to get the plant down, but they've taken out the trophy. Utility goes across, but not in time to take down any of these Rejects players. Envy pushing back. Little duo flank watch right here. Band gets hopped over the top side, and Marshy looked like he was going to have an angle, but Jez reads it once again. Rejects, such phenomenal response. Band looking for additional players. Envy's going to be able to hop to the top side. They should have the audio cues right here. 17 seconds to work with. Tectonic takes down another player, and now down to the 2 remaining. Solo's going to be able to find the first, but can't find the second, and Washi connects for the snipe. Now down to a 1v1, Tectonic versus Jez, and not enough time to work with. Jez should be able to take down the diffuser, and Rejects take the map.
Well, that is significantly closer than what we've seen before from Rejects in Search and Destroy. Every single Search and Destroy they've played has gone no further than 9 rounds, of Rejects taking it 7-2. This one, Seminole, of course, are going to push them the distance all the way to a 7-5 victory for Rejects. Man, so many of those rounds were close. So many of those rounds came down to clutch situations. I don't think we would expect anything different there.
You guys will likely notice that the score behind us says 1-1. And if I've heard correctly, I believe there was a restricted skin that was used by Rejects in that map. So it is, despite the outcome of the Search and Destroy, going to be now tied 1-1. And that's going to be a sigh of relief for that Seminole squad, as it definitely felt very much like the series was slipping away from them.
Damn.
Yep.
Damn, that is tough. That is so tough. Wow. That's really frustrating, I think, for Rejects on the whole. I mean, nobody to blame but themselves. But at the end of the day, I think that's really frustrating, I think, just because obviously we talked about the Search and Destroy, what Rejects have been bringing to the table, and the way that this series has gone so far for them, winning the Hardpoint in the way that they did, following up with Search and Destroy and performing how they should have done. And now it's 1-1 in the series, so things will be a lot more tense from this point out. Hey, at least at this point, Bobby, we're right with how we thought the series would go right now.
Yeah, it's it has been super competitive. And puts that much more pressure onto our swing map and that raid control. I felt pretty confident heading into this series that Seminole would be able to take it, but with the way that this one has gone so far, I feel like most of my confidence has pretty much gone out the windows. Seminole have looked probably the most discombobulated that we've realistically ever seen. Obviously, you got to give credit for Rejects in the way that they've performed. But it hasn't looked like an uber confident Seminole squad from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's confidence at the moment, because I think the confidence is still there. I think at the moment they're just trying to figure out a way to get around Rejects and the way that they're playing, because this new Rejects roster, I think, certainly is revitalized from what we've seen in the past. This is, you know, again, previously in the past, Tribe have been a competitive roster with LG back when that happened. Obviously, we, you know, despite the fact that LG won the last 3 matches against Tribe, now that they're Seminoles and Tribe are Rejects, I think Rejects now with Envy on side just look like a much better roster, and I think there's so much more put together than they have been in the past. So I think Seminole's still trying to figure out kind of ways in which to respond to what Rejects are bringing to the table. But now it is 1-1 in the series after that Search and Destroy. So again, Rejects do not end up walking away with the victory. But now we move into a control. I believe it's going to be raid control. And this one, at least in my mind, just purely based on the map, I think this does ultimately favor Seminole, because this is a really strong one for them.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like my expectations are just kind of out the window at this point, because like, I felt like the front half of the series was the one that they were going to be strongest on, and that most certainly was not the case, especially looking at the takeoff. So they've got to take back some of that momentum for sure. Obviously, taking them out via DQ will do something, but it's not something that you can feel super confident about, because you've still yet to legitimately win a map, you know? Like, obviously a win is a win, but you have not taken one by outplaying your opponent.
Yeah, for sure. I think that confidence is still going to be there for Rejects as well, and you already talked about it, especially as you get into the second half of the series, when we start to get towards the Tunisia Search and Destroy or the Hacienda Hardpoint. It's like, well, hold on a second here. Rejects have been really good on these maps, and it does become, right, look, we've lost one map. It's fine. It might be frustrating, and, you know, we shouldn't have lost it, but at the end of the day, we've got a really good second half of the series coming through here. So for me, you know, I still stand by what we've kind of talked about earlier on before we got into this series. This raid control really does feel like it could well be everything, especially now that Seminole, one way or another, have an into this series. And yeah, I mean, if Rejects go 2-1 down, it gives them a chance to maybe just steal one of those maps away towards the back half of the series, and this could still be a Seminole victory.
All right. Well, just waiting for our players to get ready, and then we should be good for the control. But, man, Rejects just look absolutely phenomenal, and it's not any one individual player that I think you can necessarily attribute it to. I think you do have to get a lot of credit to Envy, because he was huge on both maps for them.
Definitely.
And obviously this is a matchup that's probably more important to him than anybody else between the two squads, but just across the board, great consistency for that Reject squad.
Well, I mean, that's a really good point. It's a really good talking point. I don't know if we've even really talked about enough for Envy, for a player who, you know, made the jump from Seminole to Rejects, or LG to Tribe at the start of the season. That's a massive jump from a team that was, you know, ultimately and still are one of the best teams here in the world, and probably the best team in North America predominantly. It's a huge jump to go to the #2 team that maybe wasn't as competitive with the rest of the world. So yeah, definitely massive risk for Envy, and it's worked out so far. At the start of this round, it is working out perfectly as 3 unanswered kills make that 4 go the way of Rejects. Seminole attempted a late flank by way of Vague, so it's a good response. Rejects now going to be somewhat stunted in what they can do, but they are just winning the gunfights. Jesus.
Well, there's Marshy picking up one. Another for Washi. It looks like B should be pretty much completely locked in. Attempted a contest right here. They're actually able to clear things off. So that equalizes the lives a good bit, and that progress will be completely wiped away. Naturally, Rejects hit the wrap back toward the A side right here. See what they can find. Tectonic able to clear off one. Riballo trade right there, and Jez is still going to get dealt with, but not quite enough ammo in that window. Solo's looking to do it all by himself now on the hard point, but he's going to get pinched as well. So even though they've been able to clear things off, that's a lot of progress onto both sides. Rejects are going to hit the wrap back toward B, and just like that, they only need one more tick of progression for them to be able to lock in this round.
I think right there in that little sequence of events, you kind of start to understand why we consider raid control so offensively sided, right? Because of the way the spawns work. If you so heavily defend the B point, you're going to allow Rejects a chance to just transfer straight over towards A, and that is exactly what happens there for them as they go back and forth between the points. 2 ticks of progression already made on A. They just need one hit, and this will be a round for them. Vague and Tectonic, though, not allowing it to happen just yet. Rejects, if anything, kind of just need to waste time for the player on the flank to actually do something, and I think that just kind of all goes awry here as S-Thug goes down. Seminole doing a good job on the defense at this point in time, but it is, again, very tentative. It only requires one break at this point.
War Machine coming out really early for Riballo, but he gets taken down. That goes completely to waste. And Seminole doing a phenomenal job of holding the line. One player does get taken down, and you got to get on the point ASAP. Awashi, the snipes are hitting now. One player make it 2 shut down. That's 3 players in the vicinity, and they can hop on it, try to stack it right here. But the response out of Seminole, are they going to be able to hold off the final push? Riballo hops the point. Not a whole lot of lives to work with. Tectonic's War Machine comes out, and that should afford them the final kill. Still a minute 10 to work with, but now down 3 lives. What can you make out of it? Jez on the pinch play toward that kitchen area. S-Thug finds one, but now down to 3 players remaining for Rejects.
And how on earth has Jez played his life in this situation? Marshy just runs straight past him. Maybe the information was handed off to a teammate. Maybe that trust was there. Nonetheless, Jez might still be a hidden weapon here. Marshy goes on the hunt for him, and yeah, was not expecting that whatsoever. So this is still possible. 40 seconds on the clock here for Jez and Envy to navigate this. Envy about to earn the claw as well. Jez already has their weapon in the back pocket. It's going to be the Sparrow. So an investment could be made if they want to. Utility going out to try and get a feeler here on both sides. A bit of noise being made. Envy looking over towards the basketball court, gets caught for money, and now there's just way too many different angles to look. Jez for a 1v4. It's still possible. Out towards the point. Pre-fire from Vague, though. Now shots through the wall as well. Jez surely dead to rights here, and he will be. Ban will close things out. I tell you what, they're Seminole. They will breathe a sigh of relief at the end of the round, because the way that one started, Rejects were dominant.
That was a lockdown defensive setup on A, and especially with 2 players remaining, it would have taken near perfect shots out of Rejects to find an opening there. Solo, once again, looks like the LMG off spawn is going to be kind of a go-to strategy just to information check across Zig. It is going to be a full send over the A side for Seminole to see what type of progress they can find, but Solo reads it. It's going to be one player taken down early. Envy finds another. A solid response out of this Reject squad as only 1 player remains. Looks like it's going to be Vague, and he's taken down, so all progress wiped away. Washi just looking for picks, but they will hit the wrap back toward B. At least Band will as he finds 2.
I kind of like this from Rejects, though. They didn't fully invest into it. They left 1 player over by B who could still disrupt what Band is bringing to the table. And yeah, S-Thug does exactly that. And even S-Thug's just present over by the driveway influences the spawns enough that Seminole don't get that much of a convincing hit towards B immediately. was going to be a bit worried there for Tectonic. I thought Tectonic was going to do some serious damage over by A, but no matter. He now joins his teammates back over towards B. Investment now coming out from Washi. It's the Annihilator. See what he can do. He's going to get shut down. It's not fully convincing just yet here. Rejects still have a hand over this point. A couple of kills now starting to come through from Tectonic and Vague, the latter of which has pulled out the equalizers to ensure that this B point does go their way. And I think at this point for Rejects, I want to see them just move straight across over towards A. There is no point investing any more into this. B is being captured, but Vague wants to brute force his way through Laundry. He picks up the kill, now decides the best way to help his team out is to wrap back around through the open steps, and he'd be correct.
And he's going to take kitchen control right there. S-Thug turns. Will he find the information? No, he will not. He gets taken down instead, and there's a lot of map control right here as Vague's going to be able to lock down Money Window. And they've got players on the objective. What can they do in response? Rivalry gets shut down. Vague's been able to earn streaks courtesy of the equalizer. They pull out all their operators, but that's an Annihilator taken out. Rivalry's going to get shut down. Envy Claw out right here. What can he do? Finds one, but it's not going to be enough as they still sit down 4 lives. And until Band is dealt with, no avenues for them to make their way on. Rivalry's going to use the War Machine. There's no time for them to get on the objective. Solo's going to be there, but they're up 5 lives right now. S-Thug gets shut down, and a lot of wasted utility for Rejects trying to hold that round.
You can just smell the desperation in the play. When those kind of utility come, oh hey guys, how you doing? When that kind of utility comes out to play, I was like, did something go wrong with the game? Are we good? When that kind of utility comes out there towards the end, you can tell they desperately want to win that round, and it just does not happen. That being said, there is a fair amount on the other side as well. You see the investment of a Predator missile coming out from Seminole, so not all is perfect, but it does result in a 2-0 start coming out from Seminole here in this control. But they have been close rounds. Rejects have just been beaten to the punch in lives every single time. And now we need to see the solid start. Rejects needs to come out flying into this round, and Solo wants it. You can definitely tell he's already picking up some kills and trying to cause some carnage on the flank. He's fighting more as well. Finally, gonna get shut down. Investment from S-Thug with the Annihilator on the other side, and he only finds one. Again, not the most desirable usage of it, but you know what? If it works, and B is in their favor.
And if you're Seminole, like, given the amount that's invested right there, the fact that you're only down 5 lives, not the end of the world. Given the way that they were able to lock down that A side, you know they're capable of doing it. You just can't let the lives slip too far out of control. But Washi's going to get shut down right there. They pretty much lose all their kitchen control, and Rivalry's going to find Vague with the Hunter-Killer. Ban still yet to be dealt with, trying to make sure they maintain those top steps control. Flashbang to check for information on the inside of kitchen. He's going to see what he can find. It'll be Envy there. Gets taken down, and Washi not able to take Rivalry for that secondary kill. And he's going to earn a Pred missile right here and calls it in early to take down Tectonic.
You know, I don't hate it because Tectonic was in a position that was actually being really frustrating for the Rejects because he was making the spawn further back than they otherwise would desire, given that bedroom positioning. So it's not the end of the world. Actually a pretty good utilization of the Predator missile, but even still, if the life disparity that they have on hand at the moment, maybe you could have used it better later on down the line. Nonetheless, Rejects, they are now knocking at the door here. Seminole, they've got players close proximity. Washi is going to find the first. Now Tectonic looking to push forward to try and clear the point, and indeed he does find one. Band also going to clear out Money, and you can't let this happen here. Seminole, they are down to their final lives though, with 1 minute and 14 to bear the brunt of all these attacks from Rejects. Surely this is impossible.
Yeah, Vague's going to get red right here. Able to find one, even if he had made it two. Still would have been an incredibly tall task for them to find anything. Now 4v11. They look to hold the line. Somehow Jez doesn't realize Marshy's going to be in there even after the flash connects. Now all down to the 2 remaining players. It's going to be a 2v10 if they're going to make anything out of it. The Marshy not able to connect for the kill shot right there, so he's on a 1v8, and he's very content to give away the life, make sure they maintain that tick advantage, and Rejects stay alive in the series.
I think you're fine with that if you're Seminole, ultimately, right? I mean, you look at the operators you've now got inside. You've got 1 for every single player. You didn't want to allow Rejects to earn any more towards the back half of that round, so may as well just give away your life to ensure the round is over before any more of that progression can occur. Now Seminole, at the start of this round, they want to close things out. It's going to be a War Machine for War Machine play. Raballo and Tectonic all finding value, but Tectonic is finding more. He picks up a couple of kills. Marshy isn't actually finding all that much with the claw. He's just firing the shots off into the void, but this is a heavy investment coming out from Seminole at the start of the round. They really want to drive this one home with a life disparity. And what is the response from Rejects? They're going to play this one super passively. I love this. This is the perfect counter for what Seminole have been bringing to the table.
Especially when you see 3 operators come out. If you can take that much utility off the table and it doesn't cost you any lives, you'll take that any day of the week. Marshy going to be able to find 2 inside kitchen. There's another for Washi right there. So now Seminole have taken control of the lives, and they make some wrap up toward that top laundry side. One player's already crept through in the inside of kitchen, and the nade connects for Band. Looks like it was perfectly cooked right there. Just like that, they set up 4 lives.
Yeah, they were setting themselves up for the Zim spawn trap towards the back there. They actually have to kind of wrap back momentarily here, and indeed that spawn trap isn't quite as perfect as they otherwise would have liked, especially now as the second player. Does he actually get away? Vague now going to utilize the equalizers though over by Jungle, so the pressure still feeling pretty on here. Seminole starting to get these kills towards the backline, and yet Rejects don't manage to bring that spawn trap to fruition. Now Vague starting to earn some time here, wants some more kills with the equalizer, slides across some information, but unfortunately runs out of time with it. It's okay though, because Band is here to pick up 3. How on earth does that happen? And now Rejects are in trouble, Bobby.
Tectonic set up in their spawn, trying to cut off all those rotation. He finds Envy as well, earns a pred, able to take down Jez and keep his life. So Reject's still going to have to deal with Tectonic, and he's not missing a bullet. Finally gets taken down, but the life lead has built all the way to 19v7. Solo going to get shut down off of his equalizer. They're throwing everything they can at it, but a pred from Band in the top side, not going to connect, not going to matter. They get the objective captured, and Seminole take another round to take the advantage in the series.
And now back to us. After Seminole have just won that control. Beautifully done, I think, on the whole there. And I think even the round they gave away was a tactical play. You know, ultimately, fair play to Rejects for winning the round. But again, even the decision towards the back half of the round to be like, you know, we're going to lose this round regardless. Let's not invest any more into it. Let's just hold ourselves for what was a brilliant start to the subsequential round in which they had full operators. And that just goes to show, again, why Seminole are one of the best teams in the world here, as they just come out and play really well off the back of what was a not so nice first couple of maps in the series.
Yep, crazy numbers for Tectonic, 28 and 12. Just having a field day on that map, and definitely lifting the spirits for the Seminole squad, who, yes, they might be up in the series, but in the back of their minds, got to be thinking, like, that's the first map that we have actually won up against a Reject squad that has looked absolutely terrifying for the entire day. So now we get ready to head into a Hacienda that traditionally Tribe/Rejects have looked really strong on, have managed to take off of Seminole in seasons past. And even despite their struggles here in the raid control, I feel like have got to be feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, for sure. Rejects, I will say, just going back to this control here as we look towards the highlights, that, you know, ultimately they didn't play that control that badly. I think fundamentally what they were doing was fine. Seminole just, I think, at the end of the day, outplayed them, especially towards those first couple of rounds where it did come down to a life disparity between the two teams, where perhaps Seminole were just doing better in the 1v1s when it mattered, getting all of the important gunfights in their favor. It was when I think we got to rounds number 3 and 4, that's when it started to feel like Seminole had more control, even with the loss over towards round number 3. This round number 4 was a masterclass in holding back your operators when you needed to and using them at the right time. It was a perfect round from them. So Seminole will be happy. But as you said, we go on map number 4 where, again, Rejects have really upped their game this season, especially, I think, again, you look towards what happened between them and Mayhem on this map, and it wasn't pretty.
Yep. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. Obviously, Tectonic playing the way he is, that's great, but you got to have everybody on the same playing field if you're going to have a chance to go toe-to-toe with the Rejects. Washi, a little bit shaky in his performances so far today. I think especially looking at the respawns, I think put up less than a 0.5 there in the, even though they won, and very rough numbers in the Hardpoint as well. So still figuring out the feel for this new squad. Obviously, there's changes in roles, players doing different things that they're not necessarily used to. But right now, Seminole got to step up to the plate. Obviously, they've got an opportunity to close out the series, but if it does go to a Tunisia search and destroy, could be very up in the air based on what we've seen out of Rejects so far this season.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you know, I think the thing we underestimate maybe to an extent is how much kind of VOD review these guys will have done on each other. If we do go to that Tunisia search and destroy, you got to imagine that Seminole will have sat there, watched again that Mayhem versus Rejects Tunisia search and destroy to see what on earth happened there to Mayhem, why they were not competitive in that whatsoever. And they will adapt to it. So if we get to it, I think it should be interesting to see whether or not that has been the case. For now, though, it's going to be a Hassi and a Hardpoint where both of these teams have found success this season thus far. It's been a constant mainstay for us here on the casting desk for good reason. It's an enjoyable time every single time, and hopefully it sends us to a Game 5.
All right. Vague looking to lock down top side. They full flood toward open right here. What can Ban do in response? He's able to take down one, make it two. So that's full topside control, especially with Vague locking in that kill. Should be fairly easy for Seminole to lock in some hardpoint time. Stress-free and Wash, he turns and burns onto Raballo right there. But just like that, 4 kills in the feed for Rejects, and they're trying to see what they can do up against this initial push for Seminole. 1 player on the objective, but still topside control is there for Seminole, but doesn't seem to matter as Rejects picking up all the kills. The feed has gone completely yellow.
Yeah, Rejects in a really good spot, but maybe not so much for the rotation here. This is a early give up for Seminole over by P1. They've given up a lot of rotation, a lot of control. They haven't fully got control of it just yet, though. 1 player going to slip the net. That's going to be Jez, who, after finding 1 kill, will inevitably get hunted down. So Seminole, they are putting a lot in towards this rotation towards P2 to make sure that they can hold it. Spawns can be a little bit janky sometimes here on Hacienda, though, and you're going to see that right there. Player spawning in the back line is going to be S-Thug. How much damage can he do? And he finds the first kill. Big 1v1 over by Rock as well from Envy, and Envy finds it, and now the pinch play is on. Marshy has to win at least 1 gunfight here in the back line, and to be fair, as those back spawns start to come through from Seminole, that play from Rejects completely falls apart.
He sees the players spawning in that back side, but Band was able to keep them distracted so long that Seminole have been able to lock the lead back in. Raballo's going to be able to push through the front, and once again, solid feed for Rejects, but Tectonic going to get shut down right there, and once again, sent to a full reset. Rejects locking in a nice chunk right here. Solo does get read by Band, but forced back to regen right here, and once again, with 3 players stacked on the point, needs to be a huge feed. Vague's going to be able to find one, does damage onto another, so the scraps will be here for Seminole. Nobody going to look to contest, but a foot race toward P3. Looks like they should arrive at similar times, but it will be Seminole arriving in the top side initially, and one should have barn control here, so if they can find these opening kills, could be a huge start.
This is a massive rotation from Seminole, especially as they got the Bellow Cobra by P2 side, and for the most part, they are winning the gunfights as well. Band opens up for the first couple of kills. Jez, what can he get done? Absolutely nothing. Envy's going to find 2 on the other side here, so these guys should continue to butt heads time and time again until something will break it, and Tectonic here is going to be that man. Finds a couple with the War Machine already. Does he read the back spawn here from S-Thug? Going to go for the check. I don't think he actually necessarily saw it. S-Thug is able to do a little bit of damage. Is it enough perhaps to prevent an opening for Rejects? The answer is yes. Rejects actually going to be able to find their way through now. Solo for a double. Back and forth we go on this hard point. Rejects are fighting tooth and nail to keep Seminole away from it, especially with the investment of the War Machine. Seminole, you have to imagine, have to get a lot of time here.
And the DRH is absolutely cooking right now for Seminole. Leading the way are Tectonic and Vague. Band with 11 kills to his name as well. It looks like Rejects saving up for a big P4 right here. 4 operators charged and ready to go. Some utility available for Seminole. We'll see what they have in response, as it's once again a big 1v1 on the point, and it will be Rejects finding the opening. Unfortunately, 4 players here to collapse, and one of them's got a Purifier in hand. That's Band finding one to open things up. S-Thug should be taken out off the burn damage. Actually going to stay alive right there, but he will get dealt with via nade. And now Jez gonna pop the Sparrow right here to see what he can find. Solo tries to hop the top side, gets shut down. Vague, Equalizer, what can he find? He'll hold the line for the time being. S-Thug with the Annihilator needs to find some value.
How much is he going to find? That's the question. Vague is already being a nuisance with the equalizer, and he's not even really given a chance at the moment. He needs the rest of the team ideally before making the move forward. Here we go. 3 kills being made. Investment already coming out for the claw as well. And Marshall's going to get shut down almost immediately after he uses it. This is a massive push coming out from the Rejects here for a back 15 seconds that would keep them competitive with Seminole in this hard point. Ban and Washi still looking for this time though. After all that investment from Rejects for a back 15 to 20 seconds or so, you start to ask the question, was it really worth it? Solo's now going to bring the equalizers out as well. And I get the feeling at the moment here with Rejects that a lot of these operators feel like they're responsive to Seminole. They're trying to ride the coattails. They're trying to hold on in this game here, Bobby. And already they are down by 50 points. If they let Seminole start to walk away with this game, I'm not sure they'll be able to bring it back.
It's definitely going to be difficult. Vague in the top side somehow wins that gunfight up against Jez, and once again, they take the top side control. He's able to get a cheeky spot on the cross, and he's got Tectonic watching his back. Feels pretty comfortable doing it. The feed goes blue, and once again, Seminole locking down the hard point time as they extend down that lead even further. Marshy picks up another 2-piece right there. Band having himself a map, not typically one that we think of as SMG oriented, but has been so pesky, maneuvering those spawns, pushing out and lurking against these Rejects players. Tectonic's going to hold the line on the rotation toward P2, and it's a pretty perfect setup so far for Seminole.
Yeah, this feels like a make or break moment here in this game. You are down by 70 points to your opposition. You've already given up the rotation. Thank goodness, if you're a Rejects fan, Raballo and Envy are able to combine for 2, so they get the first look over by Lamborghini. This is their hill. It has to be in this game. And Washi going to bring the Annihilator out. What is he able to do with it? He already finds a couple of kills here. Band is just waiting ever so patiently. The car bomb goes off for the first kill. It's going to be 3 kills, but right back at you. Our Seminole for 3, make it 4 kills of their own. Rejects now spawning out towards the other side of the fences. Bobby, I said that this needed to be a massive hill for Rejects, and within 20 seconds they are pushed out of it.
Explosions left and right. It's pure chaos on P2, but the claw comes out. Marshy's going to be able to find one. Keeps his life right here, waits for the regen and plays the information. Ban continues to absolutely be so pesky up against this Reject squad. Washi is yet to get spawned out toward Rock's side, and he finds a 2-piece right there. Ban continues to force them back. I'm not sure more than 10 seconds has been found here on P2 by Rejects, and now it's Seminole as the squad sitting up by 100 points.
You have to find a way back into this game. Rejects, you are 110 points down now. Seminole, they've got a big utility moving forward as well. Certainly more so than Rejects have. Big read coming out from Envy here, or Solo, excuse me, sitting in the corner, just going to wait patiently. Yeah, big kill to make against Band, but now they need to recognize that the spawns have flipped out. Despite a wave of gunfights going for the most part in their favor, this is where they struggled before, just trying to fight fences from this side. Band decides now's the time to bring out the Purifier to try and clear out tin, and then fences from there on out. On the other side, it is a big investment coming out as the claw is being utilized by Envy. These need to be valuable for Rejects, and for Ban, he finds the double. That's the opening that Seminole required here, as once again, Rejects not anywhere near as convincing as they need to be.
Jez, solid value out of the Sparrow, able to find a couple with the Fennec in hand as well, but he gets taken down. Once again, phenomenal response from Seminole. Vague in the top side. Gonna be able to find one, another for Tectonic. Washi's broken on through, and once again, it's Seminole locking in time. Players on rotation for Rejects. 2 players already gonna be there, and 1 player pushing from garage. So they'll have the opening set up, but it's Seminole finding kills on rotation. Washi clears off the objective for that last few seconds of scrap time, and big engagements on the hard point. Solo's gonna find one to open things up.
Backs against the wall now for Rejects. At least you've not got much to go up against in terms of utility. They're going to try and make his way up around the outside and somehow finds that first kill versus Jez. That's going to make things awkward. They're now going to turn their attention towards spawning players to try and keep Rejects isolated inside the hardpoint for the most part. Here, Rejects doing a good job to hold on for the first few gunfights in their favor. But yet still, it is a monumental task ahead of them, and that's a good start. Washi has been a constant nuisance there with that weapon, as has Vague, and that is 2 operators immediately off the rip here in this hill that have been taken out of the equation. Rejects are doing a stellar job so far holding on in this game.
That's the response that they needed. Near perfect P4 right here. Couple kills do go through, but it's nothing more than contest time right now for Seminole as they do finally break on through. That's going to be 2 kills to the hands of Tectonic. He's going to make sure nobody can make their way from that garage side and it will be Seminole picking up the rest of the scrap. So now only 30 points needed right here. Ban gets dealt with. Raballo holds the line. They get the scraps, but still such a large gap that they've got to close, and Marshy playing that pesky spot's going to be able to find one. Solo in the top side, able to find the read, but they got to get players on the hard point. You can't afford to give up a single second more than you are actively. Fortunately, Envy locking in the top side is going to keep Vague. Force back for now.
The phrase that you hate to hear if you're the team down in this situation, you have to play perfect hardpoint from here on out. Even these few seconds you're giving away could be detrimental towards the back half of this hardpoint. For Rejects, a path back in perhaps, hold on this hill and get control of the rotation towards P2 as well, but neither of those things going superbly well at this point. Couple more seconds given away to Seminole. Annihilator going to waste for Rejects, not all that great in terms of holding on towards this hill. Seminole just 16 points shy of victory here, Bobby. If they don't find it here, look at where they are on the minimap. They might well find it over by P2.
One player already set up. Surprise, surprise. It's the man himself, Tectonic, locking down that Lambo. Vague should be able to push down to water side. Rejects are going to pick up the scrap time, but like you said, only 16 seconds needed right here, and there's a War Machine in perfect position, but Jez, Sparrow comes out. He snipes him like Robin Hood off the top of the Lambo. This could be the opening as Raballo calls in the War Machine. That's a full 5 feet for Rejects to break the point.
Seminole just 13 seconds away from victory. They've still got the close spawns through. Fagan are open things up with the first kill. It's a pinstripe kill feed. Seminole, is it good enough for them to break on through? Still a couple of players to deal with, and they're doing it. They're still holding on here in this game, Bobby. They are refusing to die, and yet this still feels so tentative. Seminole, you only need one break.
One good push. Will they be able to find it? One player pushes on through, but there's Jez to do the final damage. One more player's got to get dealt with, but you need the kill right here. No reinforcements, and Seminole have broken on through. Utility, Purifier's going to do the burn damage. 5 more seconds. Rejects have to throw everything at it. Jez calls in the prep, but I don't know if it'll land in time. Esto just trying to play his life. Not enough time for Rejects as Seminole remain the kings of North America.
Damn. What a series between Seminole and Rejects. Not the way that we thought it would end. Certainly not off the start of this series. And I think we both know that Rejects will be kicking themselves after the conclusion of map number 2. But man, Seminole earned it through that control and through that second hard point. The way that they played was just sublime. I mean, if map number 1 was dominant, I think this one was certainly assertive from Seminole. They garnered control early on, and I don't think it ever looked like Rejects were able to scrap back from it hill after hill, where Seminole had just dominated them in terms of the operator utilization from the squad, in terms of just the way in which they were just keeping Rejects at bay. Man, that would look like a completely different second half of the series.
It really did. I think you got to give a lot of credit to Ban. That was one of the better series we've seen out of him on a map that, like we said, typically not very SMG-oriented, but he was so pesky, just constantly a thorn in the sides, manipulating the spawns, pushing out toward the direction. I think especially on that P2 control, there were so many times he was able to get pushed past rocks and keep those Rejects players guessing on what direction they needed to go. And like you said, really got to be kicking themselves after map number 2, because we could have very well been on our way to a map 5.
We should have been. It should have been a map 5, man. We can talk about this all day. It's so frustrating, I think, for Rejects, because they played so well in those first 2 maps in the series. It really looked like, wow. I mean, the story we've been setting up, right, with Rejects being the squad that maybe could take Seminole down, especially with Envy joining the side, and we got that squad through the first couple of maps, but Seminole, man, what a team.
Listen, even if they weren't able to do it in this matchup, that is going to mean that challenge finals are going to be even crazier when we get to see those two face off at some point in that bracket. If they end up being the top 2 teams that make their way through to Mobile Masters as well, they are both going to be forces to be reckoned with. I mean, that was a fun match.
It was. I think especially that last map was it felt a lot closer than it was. I think just because of how well Rejects responded toward the back half. I think they just allowed too big of a lead to form, and by that point, once again, you had to play perfect hard point the rest of the way out, but obviously we do get our standings, and nearly identical to what we had at the last NA Challenge season. It's Seminole, a.k.a. Luminosity, undefeated. Rejects, a.k.a. Tribe, 6-1. Team Mayhem, a.k.a. Simplicity, 5-2. So very, very similar numbers across the board. And then truly that fourth squad looking to make some noise.
That was a really, really enjoyable season. And now 4 weeks of competition are pretty much done, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to see if we can maybe get an interview before we say goodbye to everybody for a little while until we look forward to those challenge finals. What are you expecting, though, when it comes to that top 4 battling it out?
I think the only thing I know for sure at this point, to be honest, is that I don't think truly are going to be able to puncture the top 3. I think unless they put some serious working over the next 3 weeks, I think that's probably the only thing that's definitive at this point. I think when you look towards the other 3 teams, though, I still think there's potential for all 3 of them, especially when we look towards today's match, right? This one right here. Rejects know that they probably should be in the map number 5 right now, and they know they can be competitive. And I think that's ultimately all they need to know. That's ultimately what they needed here, was just to know that, hey, look, we are a much better squad than they were 1 season ago when they played LG last time around. So I think we're in for a really competitive playoffs here. I guess the only question mark for me is Mayhem. You know, where do they look now that they figured out their roster? What does it look like for them going up against the likes of Seminole and Rejects?
What about you, Bobby?
I would agree with that. I wish that we had gotten to see the current Mayhem roster up against both of these squads earlier in the season, because like we said, they've looked a lot more confident, but it's tough to tell if that's just because of the level of competition they're going up against, or if they've really elevated their game with that new roster. So it should definitely be a really exciting NA playoffs, and I'm excited to be there for it.
And obviously all the teams now have a little bit of time before we even get to those finals, where they can really sit down, do some VOD review, go back and see what they've learned from this season so far, whether that's from watching other teams going up against each other or from their own matches up against the teams they know they're going to have to be playing coming up in the challenge finals. If you guys are just joining us, obviously you saw that leaderboard. We have our top 4 now set for our challenge finals, which means we are going to the next stage of the competition, but we also are keeping our eyes the entire time throughout this whole thing on Mobile Masters in Brazil for NA. There will be 2 teams that are going to be making their way through, continuing to that next stage and competing at LAN in Brazil. That's going to be a really cool experience as well. I mean, I don't know about you. I've never been to Brazil.
Neither have I. I would love to go to Brazil. It would be a really fun time.
No, we're gonna have to try and figure out how to make our way down to Brazil then and see how that's gonna go. But like I said, we're just trying to wait here and see if we have the ability to get one final interview going for you guys. Also, did you guess score lines? I didn't hear if you guys guessed score lines. Did you actually make predictions on them?
We did, and I did guess the right scoreline, but I actually am going to humbly reject the win here, because I guessed it incorrectly by saying that I thought that Rejects would take the Search and Destroys and Seminole would take the Hardpoints, and actually, obviously, Rejects...
On a technicality...
I'm not going to take the win here, Lauren, all right? I'm just going to take the L. I'm fine with it. Bobby can take the L as well. We'll be good on this.
We both guessed the right team.
That's true. That's true. That's all that matters in the end, you know?
I mean, all 3 of us did. Yeah, even if you don't want to give me, because you apparently somehow my guess, which is the same as yours, is less valid.
Ours is analytical, you see.
Yeah, that's true.
Yours is just, you know, Seminole best team.
You're just bandwagoning.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to get the easy dub.
I'm gonna remember this, and when I have better predictions for the next stage of the competition,
sure,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see about that.
Yeah,
we will see what happens.
Sure, whatever, if you say so.
All right, well, we'll have to see what's going on with the interview here. Oh, okay, all right. I'm getting word that we're not able to do the interview before we close things out. So give me final thoughts before we say goodbye to everybody for a couple weeks.
Really excited for playoffs. Again, this is going to be a really competitive playoffs, I think, with North America. I think the most interesting thing, something we maybe haven't mentioned so far, is, again, we've only got 2 spots given away to the North American teams for Masters. So who is it going to be? Are we going to get some upsets come playoffs time? I think it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, definitely puts a ton of pressure on playoffs. Having it be double elimination obviously adds to it substantially, but it's going to be really, really tight all the way through. And I think even truly, like, if they put the work in, can be at a level where they can take maps off. I don't know if they'll quite be in a position to where I can feel confident that they'll be taking series off of any of these 3 teams. But I definitely feel a lot more confident in them than I did feel in Devious heading into the last playoff. So I think with the right amount of work, they can make some noise too.
All right, well, you at least need to make it to the challenge finals. Make sure you guys are tuning in and watching that because it's going to be insane. We have our top 4. They're set and ready to go when it comes to that challenge finals competition. We've got Seminole, Rejects, Team Mayhem, and Truly, who will be battling it out in just a few weeks to see not only who will be named the best in the region, get that champion title, but which teams will also be making their way through to Mobile Masters in Brazil. You don't want to miss it. As always, a huge thank you to Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force for helping to make this whole thing possible. And thank you to all of you at home for hanging out with us and watching. We'll see you in the finals.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force.
to get it. I'm on the mission, snap any minute, casually winning. Stop tripping on me, stop dissing on me. Yeah, I got a dream, can't take it from me. My fire's burning, I'm always learning. Tell me where to go, man, I'm on a journey. Yeah, I can't explain it, I get excited. Keep it 300, King Leonidas. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get